What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 590 here today of AskGSM for Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. Had a great St. Patrick's Day on Monday. Enjoyed Raw live from Brussels at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which I could not watch until a couple of hours later. But I thought overall it was a fine show. We'll talk about some stuff from Raw, including that controversial John Cena promo. Did it deliver? His first heel promo in over 20 years. He went off on the fans, and thank God he did not walk out there, just drop the mic and fucking leave. That would have been terrible. I got some thoughts on that. I'll go into more detail about my thoughts on the John Cena promo a little bit later on, or rather, not only on this video, but on WrestleRant Radio with Mr. Marceau, which I should mention we were texting last night when we were going live this week, when we would be recording. There's a chance we might record on Wednesday instead. Just works better with our respective schedules. I'll obviously confirm. I know he's here in the chat. I'll talk to Mr. Marceau in a second, but if we do record on Wednesday, we probably would not go live on Wednesday. My idea is if Mr. Marceau and I record on Wednesday at some point, I'm not exactly sure, quite sure on the time as of right now, it might go live on Thursday instead. But what I might do, it might be the same format video-wise and everything else might be the same. But what I might do is record the show with Mr. Marceau on Wednesday and then have it premiere on Thursday. And then I'll be in the chat. We could talk about whatever Mr. Marceau and I have chatted about on Wednesday. We would have it go up on Thursday, usual day, probably around usual time here on the channel. And I would join in on the chat. So if you guys watch the show on Thursday, then we can all chat about what the fuck's going on. And it may not necessarily be live this week. Or we just go live early on Thursday, or we just figure something else out. So keep an eye out for that. That's a bit of a note on WrestleRant Radio for Thursday. A number of things I wanted to mention first before we get going here and I check out the chat. People are piling in the comments. We'll get to that momentarily. Appreciate everyone tuning in live. Thank you so much for that. Be sure to like this video, drop a comment in the chat or after the fact if you're watching after we are finished going live. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button as well to be notified every single time we drop a new video and every single time we go live, which is typically Tuesdays and Thursdays. Might not be Thursday this week, but we might be premiering WrestleRant Radio, like I said a moment ago, and you guys can join in on the chat and we can talk about whatever the fuck we're going to be talking about on WrestleRant Radio this week, including that John Cena promo and more stuff from Raw, including that Dakota Kai rant that Mr. Marceau has that he mentioned in the comments here a few minutes ago before we went live. So, yeah, be sure to subscribe. I would appreciate it. If you haven't already, go out and check out our new Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/WrestleRant. Buy a shirt. We got a WrestleRant shirt, a WrestleRant Christmas shirt, a WrestleRant Halloween shirt. Check out the designs. Support the show. Support the brand. Support what we do here at WrestleRant by buying a shirt. I would greatly appreciate that. As far as the streams this week, do want to mention this as well, in addition to the WrestleRant Radio change for Thursday. What I was also contemplating, and this would very likely be on Saturday. I got my copy of WWE 2K25. Alexis and I tried it out a few days ago. We did a intergender Royal Rumble. That's the cool thing about this game. All the fucking matches now are intergender. So if you do a Royal Rumble, you could get anyone from the roster in that Rumble, regardless of who you are. That includes cause, the community creations, whatever. It was a very fun time. So what I might do is do a playthrough of 2K25. Not necessarily my first time playing it, because technically we played it the other day. I might try out the live stream for 2K25 and my gameplay thoughts and whatever on Saturday. So I know we did not do a live stream on Saturday this past week, but if you're around this coming Saturday, I might, in the early afternoon Eastern time, go live here on the channel with my thoughts on 2K25. We could play along. Wouldn't be a camera thing, like you wouldn't see me on camera. I haven't probably not going to do that anytime soon. But if it's as easy as just hitting the share button on the PS4 that I have and going live that way and connecting it to the channel, then we might be able to do it. So stay tuned for that. If you like the 2K gameplay stuff, I know we do GM mode here right now. I'm actually hoping to have that go live with the hashtag GSM for GM videos at some point here on the channel in the next couple of weeks, probably after we're finished in the 2K24 GM mode stuff. After I finish through the season, we'll probably go live with that at some point in early April. So, but before then, though, I might do 2K25 gameplay, type fucking playthrough thing live here on the channel this Saturday. So keep an eye out for that. One last thing before we get going here, and I plug where you guys can send in questions and whatever. One thing that I was also contemplating the other day, 5 years ago when COVID first hit, we did a couple different watch-alongs. That was when we first started going live here on the channel pretty consistently for a few months. Not like every week, but like once a week, I would go live watching a movie or a fucking old pay-per-view or whatever. I figured out, and I feel like this would be cool. I might do a watch along in a couple of weeks, early April, for the exact 5-year anniversary of WrestleMania 36, the first and only COVID WrestleMania. We had, COVID was still a thing for Mania 37, but the only Mania without fans. And I feel like it's only fitting because before we got Mania 5 years ago, I did a rewatch of WrestleMania 31 here on the channel, and that was fun. Mania 36, not of both nights, but like of night one, it's less than 3 hours. So I'm thinking we might do a watch along of that on a Friday or a Saturday coming up in a few weeks. If you guys are interested in that sort of thing, it's on Netflix internationally, and I have a VPN. So if I watch it on Netflix, fuck Peacock. I don't get ads on Netflix. So I would probably just do it there, and I wouldn't show the feed of what I'm watching on WrestleMania 36, but I would probably put a timer up and we can watch it and shit on it together or praise it together or whatever the case might be. So a lot of stuff to look forward to here on the channel. If you guys are interested, excuse me, in that sort of thing, be sure to let me know, and we will probably circle right back around to that at some point in the next couple of weeks. So 2K25 stuff, Mania 36 watch along, WrestleRant radio this week, TBD as far as the time and day and what form it might take, but a lot to get into. So we will get into the live questions here. I will check out the chat in just one moment. One thing I do have to mention before we get going here, if you guys want to send in a question to the show, you could do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself, or rather Monday nights. I'm still getting used to the fact that we're going live on Tuesdays now and not Wednesdays. But also, if you want to send in a question, in addition to dropping a question here in the chat on the live video, which I'll get to in a moment, a lot of comments already pouring in before we hit live here from Johnny and other people. If you want to drop in a question in the comments on this very video after it's finished processing and we're done going live, I'll answer your question in next week's edition. So with all that being said, let's pull up the chat now. Bunch of people in the chat. I won't have to read every single chat that's there, but Johnny sent in a bunch of chats before we got going here. He agrees that Bianca and Charlotte, or not Bianca rather, but Charlotte and Rhea is the best WrestleMania women's match in history. We'll answer that question here today on the show today, so stay tuned for that. But he does think that is the best WrestleMania women's match of all time. And he said second would be Bianca versus Sasha, and third would be Bianca versus Becky. Okay? And his other comment was, or his question was before we got going, is Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg from WrestleMania 33 the best match under 5 minutes? In Mania history or just ever? Ever, it's hard to say. Probably not. I'm sure there are better matches under 3 minutes. I mean, especially now, WWE Speed is a thing, and WWE Speed has produced a lot of quality matches from what I've seen. I don't really religiously watch the show, but from what I understand, they have had some good matches on that show. But in Mania history, probably. I don't know what other Mania match would have been under 5 minutes that was as good as Goldberg and Brock and it wasn't like ironically funny or good or whatever. So probably Brock and Goldberg. The Cena squash also for Mania 34. Taker getting squashed or Taker squashing Cena was interesting. That was also an entertaining squash. So I would probably put that in the conversation too. Johnny also said Megan Bayne beating Rosa and Chris Statlander just to lose to Tony at Dynasty. AEW is moving too fast with her. Yeah, I feel like it's a lot too much too quickly. They are booking her very well. But if the idea is not to put the belt on her at Dynasty, I do question that decision. Because quite honestly, if you don't put the belt on Megan Bayne at this point, who is even left for Toni Storm to defend against? I've praised the women's division in AEW before. They have a great women's division. Very talented. A lot of great women. But a lot of those women she's already beaten before or have not been built up for an opportunity. Megan Bayne has been built up. She's very good. She's been dominant so far, racking up wins. I do question the idea of having her lose to Tony at Dynasty. Honestly, I would just put the belt on her. Johnny also said, better match under 10 minutes. Kurt Angle versus Ray from SummerSlam 02, I imagine you're probably talking about. Or Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka from ECW One Night Stand. Good question. Probably Angle and Ray. I mean, Awesome and Tanaka's great, especially for that crowd alone. But I love SummerSlam '02. I'm biased towards that show, so I'm going to go with Angle and Ray. I feel like that's one of the greatest honestly, if only because it was the opener to that show. And you would not even know that match was under 10 minutes. That is how great that match is. So probably Kurt and Ray from SummerSlam. And honestly, I would also put in that conversation Ray, Kurt, and Orton from Mania 22. You talk about Kurt and Ray. That's the match I thought you were talking about originally. That triple threat for the World Heavyweight Championship in '06, I think was also under 10 minutes. And Ray won the Rumble that year. He did not headline WrestleMania, but they ended up going in there short on time and had a great triple threat in a very short amount of time, but it was a fun triple threat. And lastly, Johnny said, in the great words of Graham, I don't give a shit about Moxley versus Copeland street fight. I don't really care either. I just have to hope. I fucking pray it's better than their Revolution main event, which was dreadful. So, yes, they're probably honestly doing that. They may have already been the plan to do a rematch on Dynamite. Part of me thinks they're doing that to make up for the fact that match at Revolution sucked. That it sucked so bad. Because otherwise, why even really do it? I know Cope was not pinned in that match at Revolution, which was also weird. They pinned Cage instead, had him cash in the contract, blah, 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 blah. But, like, Cope even feels like he has less of a chance to win the rematch with Swerve going in as champion, or rather challenger for the champion, at Dynasty in a couple of weeks. Moxley and Swerve is the match they want to do. If Cope wins the championship, I'm not complaining, really, but Swerve really should be the one to take that title at Dynasty. Willie, probably not. But yeah, I can't say I care either. Mr. Marceau also said, 3 hours stream loading up, and I said 4 hours actually in response. We'll see. You never know how long we'll go on these videos, which is why you always got to tune in live. Always got to tune in live and join us in the chat. We always have a lot of great people joining us. And again, I thank you if you're here live and sending in comments and questions. I'll get through everything before we get to the scheduled questions. Honestly, usually it takes me a fucking hour and a half, 2 hours to get to the scheduled questions because I'm spending too much time talking to the chat, if anything. But anyway, Mr. Marceau also said, can't wait to discuss my Dakota Kai discourse on Twitter on WrestleRant Radio. We went over, I mentioned it a couple of minutes ago, but we were talking about the Dakota Kai winning thing last night on Raw. There's some more context there about what happened on Raw and her beating Ivy Nile, and RJ had a back and forth with someone on Twitter about it. We'll talk about it on the show, probably, like I said, on Thursday. We'll probably record tomorrow. It just makes more sense. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll probably bring that up and we can discuss it on the show to air on Thursday here on the channel. Daniel is joining us. He says, yo. Rusty also said, yo, Graham and company. Daniel, Rusty, thank you for joining, guys. Great to see you. Johnny also said, better match under 15 minutes. Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat from WrestleMania 3, or Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc 97. Great question. Of the two, obviously, I wouldn't go so far as to say that either match are the greatest match under 15 minutes, because 15 minutes is a lot of time. But between those two matches, I would go maybe Savage and Steamboat, if only because it took place at Mania. Had a bigger stage, well regarded as one of the greatest matches of all time, still holds up over 30 years later. I'm going to go Savage and Steamboat from WrestleMania 3, but Eddie and Ray, rather, from Halloween Havoc 97 is also an amazing match. Nathaniel is joining us. Nathaniel, what's going on? He said, I love the Cena heel promo. Hopefully he can add The Rock with him as well. Should be fun. If The Rock wants to show up to fucking work, I know he's got other stuff going on, but that would have to require Rock showing up to Raw. And Cena didn't even mention The Rock last night in his promo, which was kind of weird. And hopefully that's still to come, and they'll acknowledge it next week when he's back on Raw, Cena, that is, alongside Cody Rhodes, and we get more of a back and forth, and he mentions why exactly he sold his soul, because he gains nothing from aligning with The Rock. He mentioned none of that in his promo last night. But I'll get to the promo a little bit later on. Alexis also joining us, of course, as always. She said, can't wait for Tyreek to get here. If Tyreek is fucking here, let's put this to bed right now, and other people may have brought this up in the comments. Last week on WrestleRant Radio, for those that did not watch or did not tune in live, Tyreek dropped a comment before we went live asking Mr. Marceau and I, what would our Love Ziggler nicknames be? And we said in response many times, Tyreek, we have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Everyone in the comments had no fucking clue what he was talking about. Tyreek disappears. He comes back at some point during the show in the comments to mention something completely irrelevant about Rollins and Roman and Punk, blah, 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 about them main eventing or maybe not main eventing, whatever the comment was. But it had nothing to do with the whole Love Ziggler thing, and he never acknowledged it. He never explained exactly what he meant, if it was a typo, what the fuck he even meant by that, if it's some sort of secret cult that we're not aware of. I have no idea. So if Tyreek is here, if Tyreek is watching, joining live or after the fact, please. I have not been able to sleep, Tyreek, not knowing what Love Ziggler means. I need to know. You need to let me know. You need to let us know, for the love of God. Nathaniel said, I'm going to miss Babyface Cena, but I'm loving heel Cena. We'll get Babyface Cena again by the end of the year, so don't you worry. We will probably not have to wait long, to be perfectly honest. Johnny said he loves these better fucking under 15-minute questions. Better hardcore match under 15 minutes. Edge versus Mick or Tony Storm versus Mariah May. Edge versus Mick. Tony and Mariah was amazing. Excellent match, but Edge and Mick was a better match, and that spear through the table that was on fire alone, I think, makes it a better match. That's just more of a Mania moment. A lot of these matches you're mentioning are happening at WrestleMania, which just make them more memorable or bigger. Tony and Mariah might be the best women's match in company history. Edge and Foley, I would still say, was probably a better match from WrestleMania 22. Richie said, the stream hasn't even started yet, and it's already a W. Thank you, Richie. Richie, great to see you. He also said, we will finally get the revelation of Love Ziggler, or will we finally get the revelation of Love Ziggler? Stay tuned. Exactly. Like I said, we have to say it. Daniel said he almost forgot. I don't know how you could forget. I don't know how anyone has been able to think about anything but Love Ziggler in the last 5 days. But if you are joining us now, have been here, please like the video. I would appreciate it. Helps out the video a lot. So, like I said, please do so if you haven't already. Richie or Mr. Marceau said, "Go goals." Yeah, the old Endicott ad. I got the AJ, not RJ. RJ's asking the question. AJ, green and white shirt on, St. Patrick's Day week. Got to represent. But yeah, go goals, baby. Nathaniel said, I watched my Lakers last night and we won. I'm glad Raw was early. Yeah, that's the benefit of Raw airing early, my friend. Raw started at 3 p.m. Eastern. It was done by 5:30 Eastern. I didn't watch it until after it was already over. I was still done watching Raw by like 8:30, 8:20. And I said to Alexis, I don't know what I'm going to do with my Monday nights. I mean, I'm going to fucking do other shit, but this is consistently the most free I have been, like not having to watch Raw, the most free I have been on a Monday for more than 1 week. It's like there's been plenty of Mondays where like it doesn't air or whatever. This is the first streak of Mondays for more than a week that I have had free from watching Raw since I started watching wrestling back in 2008. And I'm sure everyone else can relate to that. And some people may watch Raw after the fact. A lot of times I watch Raw after the fact. I don't watch Raw like fucking days later. I either watch it later that night, live, or the next day, early the next day. But now I can watch it earlier and be done with it so much earlier. It's amazing. Nathaniel also said, I woke up at 3 a.m. to watch my Dodgers win. Big Dodgers fan is Nathaniel. Daniel said, for a second I thought Graham was wearing the full Cena 2012 gear. LOL. Yeah, you know what the funny thing is about Cena? I have shirts that have Cena on them. I do not own a John Cena shirt. In the 17 years I've been a fan, I was never really the biggest Cena fan anyway, but even when he started to turn and I really liked the US Open stuff and like I started liking Cena more, as we all did in 2016 onward, never bought a shirt. None of his shirts ever really stood out to me. Like the bright colors and shit, never really liked them. But I did say when he announced his retirement last summer that when he came to a show in a city near us, because I've been at shows, like I was at the Rumble. I was at the Rumble and I saw him there. I could have bought a Cena shirt there. But like when it comes to Madison Square Garden or Connecticut, if at all, then I will buy a John Cena shirt for the first time. I told Alexis that she can get one. We kind of agreed that, she can get a shirt, I'll get a shirt, we'll all get John Cena shirts. My first official John Cena shirt. Like I said, I have shirts that have John Cena on them. Like I bought a John Cena AJ Styles shirt from SummerSlam 2016. It wasn't from 2016, but it like honored the match from 2016. And it was excellent. And I love that match. But the shirt is really cool. I have a John Cena shirt in that respect, but like a sole John Cena shirt, I do not own. This might be the year, but he said he doesn't give a fuck about me or any of us, so maybe I don't want to give him my money. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Richie said, let's go. Fernando said, what's up, everyone? Fernando, what's going on, dude? Thank you for joining as always. Great to see you in the chat. Richie said, speaking of, let me back up here a little bit. A lot of great chats. Hold on. Richie said, speaking of, I actually did order myself a WrestleRant shirt last week. Oh, Richie, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Richie. Means a lot. Let me know when you get your shirt in. Be sure to send a picture on Twitter or, text me or put it here in the chat or whatever. Then when you finally get it in, would love to see it. Richie, thank you so much. That really does mean a lot. And Richie representing, if it's good for Richie, it's good for everyone else. So if Richie can get a shirt, all of you guys can get a shirt and rep the WrestleRant brand. And Daniel did say, I'll pay extra for Love Ziggler merch, though. I got to check out this WrestleRant merch. He also said, I'll pay extra for Love Ziggler merch. I said to Alexis, if we keep the Love Ziggler shit going organically, I will not force it on every stream. If you guys continue to support Love Ziggler, we will make a Love Ziggler shirt. All right? Well, I mean, she's the designer, so she can make the shirt. We're already up to 10 likes. I don't want to lowball it and say like 20 likes or 25 likes or whatever. If you send in, I don't know what the goal would be exactly. But if enough of you guys show support for, let me get some support for Love Ziggler. If we get some more support for Love Ziggler in the chat and through the likes and through the super chat, send in a super chat or send in some more likes or whatever, maybe we will consider, very likely we will consider making a Love Ziggler shirt that you guys can get from Pro Wrestling Tees. People will see that and be like, what the fuck is Love Ziggler? Are you a big Dolph Ziggler fan? Is that a reality show? And you will say, I know Love Ziggler from WrestleRant. Who doesn't love Ziggler? I love Ziggler. You love Ziggler. It's a fucking tongue twister. Who doesn't love Ziggler? All right? So just keep that in mind. Let's see here. Hold on. Let me pull back up the chat. Richie also said, having a lot of fun with 2K25 myself. Very surprised at how much I'm enjoying the island, and my GM mode is a lot better. That's interesting. I thought my GM was like the same thing of what it's been. My biggest gripe with my GM is that they don't have the rumbles. Like, I love playing my GM. We've been doing it here on the channel for the last couple of years with the 2K games. I still prefer the SVR games GM mode. That still holds a very special place in my heart because you can go back and see results from the last couple of weeks. It isn't a race after 1 week, and it's a full calendar year. You have the Rumble, and you have chamber matches. You don't do any of that shit in the current GM mode. You have fucking Payback and Extreme Rules and Fastlane. Who gives a fuck? Give me, like, actual pay-per-views with gimmicks and shit. That's what I don't really like about it, but, they have a great roster, and they have improved it by adding, like, mid-card championships in recent years. It would be nice if you could do six-man matches and Rumbles and stuff like that, but they just don't have that as an option currently. Unless they improve that, I'm not sure. But you are saying it's better, which is great. I will check out the island shit at some point. We'll see how that is. Richie said, COVID being 5 years ago already is crazy, but hell yeah, let's do it. Talking about probably the watch-along, I assume you're talking about, Richie. But yeah, I think a watch-along would be fun for WrestleMania 36, and we can talk about it and, how it holds up after 5 years. I have not gone back and watched WrestleMania 36. Johnny said, how about rewatches of NXT takeovers? Interesting that you mentioned that, because I was rewatching for the channel years ago. Like, I rewatched every pay-per-view on the WWE Network from, like, 1985 through, like, 2017 or 2018. And then I stopped doing it after a while because I watched all the shows, the classic shows that I wanted to watch. But then I started watching old takeovers and reviewing those. I don't know what I got up to, but I did most of them. Not most of them, but like I did maybe 2014 through 2015 or 16. I forgot where I left off, but those old takeovers are great. So honestly, at some point, I think rewatches of old takeovers would be fun because those shows are shorter. And I think if that's something you guys really wanted to do, where we would sit here and rewatch an old NXT takeover and we could watch it together and comment on it. I've been wanting to rewatch the old takeovers, whether it be by myself or with someone else. I feel like that'd be a great idea. So if that's something that you guys want to do, we could totally do it. Richie said, Total Divas watch along. Listen, I have seen every episode of Total Divas. So for me, it would be rewatching those. I've seen all the takeovers too, I guess. But Total Divas would be interesting. The first season of Total Divas was so batshit insane and so fucking chaotic television, for better or for worse. I feel like that would be fun. RJ said, what about the Playboy evening gown match from WrestleMania 20? As far as the best women's WrestleMania match ever, for Mr. Marceau, it's up there. Instant classic, I suppose. And Daniel did say, oh, speed is still a thing? Go figure. Yeah, I don't fucking watch it. You can blame Elon Musk for that. Rusty said, I don't know if I would put narcissistic Sasha Banks / Mercedes twice in the top 3 of the greatest women's WrestleMania matches. That shit would just go straight to her head. Yeah, don't tell Sasha Banks that. If you told Sasha Banks that she was involved in the top 3 best WrestleMania women's matches ever, she might never forget about it and may never let us live it down. So maybe do not tell Sasha Banks that she might be involved in the top 3 WrestleMania women's matches ever. Daniel said that Mike Awesome match from One Night Stand has that Joey Styles line that aged like an avocado. Yeah, I think he later apologized for that, didn't he? I forgot what the line was, but Mike Awesome is no longer with us. I think he committed suicide. And I think he said something pretty bad after the fact. Like, I think relating to suicide or death or whatever it was. But I think he later apologized for it, if I'm not mistaken. Rusty said, oh, I would have Sasha versus Bianca on the list, but I wouldn't put Sasha versus Becky at all. Sasha and Becky was not a WrestleMania match. If I said Sasha and Becky, I apologize. I meant to say Bianca and Becky, because Sasha and Becky never had a one-on-one Mania match. So Sasha and Becky is one of the best WrestleMania, or one of the best WWE women's matches, period, from Hell in a Cell 2019, a show that is known for other shit instead. But that's not a match from WrestleMania, so that wouldn't come up in the conversation. And Rusty said, that's because we're all awesome, Graham. I don't know what you're referring to exactly. I know these are from a while ago, but you guys are indeed all awesome, so I would agree with that. Nathaniel had said, if we ever get Cope versus Swerve for the championship this year, I would love to see Cope turn heel. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we get Cope and Christian as a babyface tag team first. I don't know how much time Cope has left. I don't know how long he intends to stick around for in AEW. But honestly, I could see a scenario where he doesn't turn heel, because he tried that kind of in 2021, not really, but a little bit. More so in 2022 when he formed the Judgment Day. I loved heel Edge. In 2022, I thought it was fucking great. And it was really starting to find its footing when they pulled the plug on it, and they added Balor instead and kicked Edge out. That was because Cody got hurt, Orton got hurt, they needed a new babyface on the Raw roster, and they turned Edge babyface. That's really what happened. But I dug heel Edge, but it lasted all of like 3 months. So honestly, I don't think we're getting heel Edge ever again, because he has also said in interviews, including with me when I've talked to him about it, he had mentioned that it was really hard to organically get the fans to hate him, because they really just want to cheer him at this point in his career. It's difficult, so we probably won't get heel Edge in AEW. And based on how that last run went, it's probably for the best. Westway Farm, Western Cape said, I was at the stadium for Rhea versus Charlotte, and honestly, it wasn't the greatest match. They dimmed the lights, had extra production staff, all to enhance the show and put Rhea and Charlotte over. Interesting. Tyreek is here. Tyreek, you son of a bitch. Tyreek, what the fuck? I'll get to your chat in a second. But Westway, I was there too. I mean, I was up in the press box, so I probably wasn't seeing it as well as you did. But I disagree. I thought it was a great match. I'll talk about whether it's the best WrestleMania women's match ever in a little bit, though. Johnny said last year Swerve defeated Samoa Joe at Dynasty to win the belt. I guess Swerve wins the world title for a third time at Dynasty next year. So you're saying Swerve might win the championship this year and then again next year? So is Dynasty the only show where he's going to win the world championship? I don't even think he's going to win a Dynasty this year. I would love for him to win the world championship, but I don't think he will. But anyway, so Tyreek chatted in. Tyreek, you son of a bitch. He said, hey, GSM, I can't stay, but wanted to say hi and drop a like on the stream. Tyreek, you motherfucker. You must stay. You cannot just come in. Richie and Daniel are asking the same thing. You can't just come in, you son of a bitch. Ask us what the fuck Love Ziggler is, and then just leave. It's literally like, and Daniel had tweeted this to me, and that was the exact visual I had in my head. That gif of the Joker walking out of the hospital in Dark Knight as the hospital blows up behind him. That's what the fuck Tyreek is doing right now. You can't just pop in. This son of a bitch knows what he's doing. This motherfucker knows the chaos that he's creating by coming in, saying what he did here. Oh, acting all innocent. Oh, I'm just here to drop a like and say hi. No, you son of a bitch. You're here to stay and explain what the fuck Love Ziggler is. And maybe you already did and I haven't gotten to it yet in the comments because I'm a little behind, obviously. But come on, man. You must explain yourself. What the fuck? Everyone else is asking the same thing. Yeah, that guy he really loves his under 15-minute matches. But yeah, doesn't Love Ziggler just mean that you want that he wants you to love him? I don't know. But it's not Dolph, unless it's Dolph asking him. Maybe it's Dolph. Maybe Dolph Ziggler is Tyreek Cunningham. You son of a bitch. Say, oh my God. I don't think Tyreek came back. I think Tyreek literally liked the video, left a comment, and fucking left. I'm scrolling real quickly to see what I'm going to read what you guys have said in a moment. But I legitimately think that he only came in and said that one thing and fucking left. Alexis dropped a $5 super chat. Of course, thank you, Alexis. She said, say his name and he appears. I believe in Love Ziggler. Yeah, exactly. Literally, like you say Love Ziggler, Tyreek pops in, says hi, drops a like, he says, and then leaves. What a son of a bitch. What a fucking heel. Seriously, what the fuck? Tyreek, you are not going to get a single dollar. If we make Love Ziggler t-shirts, you are not going to make a single dollar off of royalties unless you explain what the fuck it is. He knows what he's doing too. He knows. Some people have said, I forgot who it was last week. Someone said, now I hope we never find out what it is because it's part of the mystique. It's part of the appeal, part of the mystique. No, we must find out what it is. You can't just leave us in the dark like this. Oh my God. Like Fernando said, deep down, you know who Love Ziggler is. Love Ziggler has us all shook. Yeah, exactly. Richie said, watching WWE programming sometimes can feel like a full-time job. Seriously. Thank God that we get a break off from it on Monday nights for the next couple of weeks, Richie. I agree. Johnny said, correction. Tori Wilson and Sable versus Stacy Keibler and Miss Jackie Playboy evening gown match is the best women's match in WrestleMania history. Johnny agrees with RJ. Seems like a popular opinion, and that's the best. I guess I'm wrong. I guess it's not Charlotte. I'll about to change the thumbnail. It's not Charlotte and Rhea. It's the Playboy evening gown match from WrestleMania 19. And Daniel did the clap for Joe Hendry. Or not Joe Hendry, Love Ziggler, rather. Richie said, but we all know what the best women's match in WrestleMania history is. Melina versus Alicia Fox. Richie, we went over this. That is the best that's the best WWE women's match ever in history, but it did not take place at WrestleMania. It's an amazing match from SummerSlam, but not at WrestleMania. It should have happened at Mania, but it did not. Johnny said, hopefully we get John Cena as Doctor of Thugonomics during this heel run. I don't think we will. One, we could, but he already brought it back in 2012. He brought it back in 2019. Like at this point, do we really need Doctor of Thugonomics again? I didn't grow up on it, so I don't really give a fuck. But like we already got it twice before in 2012 and 2019, so we don't really need to see it again. Richie said, I need an 80s vaporwave aesthetic Love Ziggler shirt, and I will buy 5. Alexis, you heard the man. You heard Richie. We need a 8. And now, honestly, now that Tyreek came in and created the chaos, I think we need one more week of this where if Tyreek comes in on whatever stream, and it would not be on WrestleRant Radio because we might pre-record that, regardless of the week, if he drops in and drops this Love Ziggler shit again, we might have to create a t-shirt. I think we'll have to. And Alexis even said, Tyreek, wait, what the fuck? Yeah, he was here. What the fuck? Johnny said, say his name and he appears. I believe in Candyman. You guys are going to get me killed if I say Candyman or whatever. He will pop up and kill me, and it'll be live here on the show, and you guys will get some great entertainment out of it, I guess. Ahmed said, hey, Graham, I've been at Africa since January 11th. Well, that's random. I can't wait to go back home in Minneapolis on Monday. I'm feeling the homesick right now. Well, Ahmed, first of all, that's very cool that you're in Africa. Would love to know why you're in Africa. Be sure to let us know in the chat. I'm sure everyone else would love to know as well why you're in Africa. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourself. January 11th was over 2 months ago, so that sounds like a very long time to be away from home. I can imagine that you're homesick. If I was away in another country, especially if you're from the U.S., if you're from Minneapolis and I was away from the States for 2 months, I mean, I'd be dead on the floor after a week if I didn't have my Wi-Fi. Obviously you have Wi-Fi. You're fucking here with us. But if I was away from home for over 2 weeks at this point in time, because I've been on trips that were like 2-3 weeks long. But at this point in time, I'd be like, no, I'm such a homebody. I could never. That would not work for me, brother, in 2025. Fernando said, did you hear Love Ziggler is signing with both the Lakers and the Dodgers? What a man. Love Ziggler is so great. He's signing with both teams and then some. Say his name and he appears. I believe in Freddy Krueger. Again, Johnny, you're going to get me killed. Fernando said, one second, the chat kind of like froze on me a little bit. Fernando said, a watch along would be dope. All right, cool. Whether it be for the takeovers or WrestleMania 36, I'll probably do regardless. But the takeovers, I feel like would be fun. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Richie said, Wifey and I are currently watching Total Divas. I never made it through season 1 when it originally aired, and we're having a ball. You'll enjoy it, Richie. It's quite the fucking roller coaster ride, I'll tell you that much. That show was it was certainly something. By the end, it was like, this is just, it's not even like so bad it's entertaining. It was just a complete waste of time. But those first few seasons, though, when they went through a couple cast changes and whatnot, it was quite the trip, to say the least. Daniel says, in his opinion, the greatest women's WrestleMania match is Trish Stratus versus Christy Hemme from 2005, WrestleMania 21. And you know what? He's not wrong. Richie said, wow, I had no idea Mike Awesome wasn't with us anymore. Yeah, I think he's been dead for a long time. I think he died a couple years after that ECW One Night Stand match. Maybe like the next year or a couple years later. I think it's been a while. Millennial Noob said, joining us now. Millennial Noob, what's going on, dude? He said, hello, Graham. How are you doing today? I'm doing well. Thank you, Noob, for asking. Hopefully you're doing well, and thank you for joining us as always. Fernando said, you and Love Ziggler should both do a WrestleMania watch-along. The guy's got to pick up his phone. I mean, like Fernando said, like you said, Fernando, earlier on, he's signing with the Lakers, he's signing with the Dodgers. He's too busy for me. So, I mean, if he picked up his fucking phone and would be willing to sit down with me, then we could do a watch-along together. So the line was, Daniel brought it up here, Suicide Dive by Mike Awesome. It's a shame he didn't succeed in taking his life. Yeah, that aged fucking terribly. That's the line. Because I think he did end up taking his own life, like soon after or the next year. It wasn't that long after. I remember that. Millennial Noob said, Heel Edge was awesome back in mid-2000s. Yeah, I mean, Heel Edge was amazing. Heel Edge was fantastic in like the mid-2000s, late 2000s, because he was a heel for what? He turned heel in 2005 right before he won Money in the Bank, late 04. He joined up with Lita and whatnot. And then he didn't turn babyface again until 2010. So he was a babyface or heel rather, for a very long time. And then he was only a face that year for like a couple of months. And then he turned heel again by like late 2010. And then he was a babyface again. It was very short-lived. Then he went babyface again before he retired. So yeah, Heel Edge was amazing. I just don't think at this point in his career, people want to even boo the man. Like, when Cena comes out now, he's getting booed. I mean, it's just a different time, and it's a different person in charge and whatever. The heel Edge thing, what he was going for, just didn't work. People were not booing him. He just wasn't getting really much of a reaction. And that's kind of even worse than getting booed or cheered. Yeah, Alexa said she was cracking up about Tyreek. This motherfucker is I can't believe that guy just popped up and then left. He knows what he's doing is over, brother. I agree, Richie. Just ridiculous. But Richie also said, Graham versus Tyreek, WrestleMania 41 for the explanation of Love Ziggler. If John Cena can fucking explain himself as to why he turned his backs on us, why he turned his back on the WWE Universe, then Tyreek can show up and explain himself for what the fuck Love Ziggler is. I can't believe it. He definitely did that on purpose. You cannot convince me that Tyreek did not do that on purpose. You son of a bitch. Richie also said, I said best women's match in history, not Mania history. Oh, okay, right. Richie, then you're correct. Melina and Alicia Fox is the indeed best women's WrestleMania or women's match in WWE history. Absolutely, I agree. Fernando said, make that money, Alexis. Never say Love Ziggler 4 times, whatever you do. I've already said it a million times. Love Ziggler, Love Ziggler, Love Ziggler, Love Ziggler. I don't give a fuck. I want Love Ziggler to show up. I want Tyreek to show up and explain who and what Love Ziggler is. I need him to show up. If he doesn't show up, then we're fucked. Ahmed said, I'm with my dad. We just needed a break from home. We're in Kenya right now. I haven't traveled since 2014. That's crazy. Well, Ahmed, hopefully you're enjoying yourself. Kenya, I'm sure it's nice there. Weather-wise, it's probably hot, right? It's always hot in Africa, I would think. So, very cool that you're in Africa right now, and you're joining us from Africa. You're in Africa on a break, and you're still joining us every week. Ahmed, you're the man. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you're enjoying Kenya, and be sure to keep us updated on your adventures. I'm sure you're homesick, though, like you said. Fernando said Mike Awesome was a very good big man. It should have gotten a serious push in both WCW and WWE. They both dropped the ball on him. Yeah, I never really followed Mike Awesome's work. I know he was ECW champion and he went to WWE and WCW and all this other shit. Never got a fair run because he wasn't in any of those companies very long. But, I mean, I know the match that he had with Masato Tanaka at a One Night Stand 06 because I've seen that match several times and it's a fucking great match. So, yeah, I mean, that's certainly a great match and I enjoyed that match. So that's really all that I know about him for the most part, and not a bad way to go about. Rusty said, "Hey, why'd you skip my Swerve Moxley comment?" Did I? What did you say? It may not have shown up. I mean, some of these, I gotta hold on. My thing is set to top chat. It shouldn't exclude anything. Sometimes, like I know, Mr. Marceau a couple of months ago, I think you're in the stream, said "What's up, sexy?" in the comments for when we were, I don't know, whether it was hashtag or something, I don't know. And it didn't show up. No one saw it. So I did not see what he was talking about. So let me see. Let me go to all messages are available. Let me back up. Okay, now I'm seeing it. Rusty, I did not skip over your comment on purpose. I had it set to top chat, and I think because you said fucking POS, I think because you swore, honestly, that's why it didn't show up. I think if you swear in the comments, if you swear in the chat, it doesn't show up or it filters it out. So just a heads up. I mean, I changed it to live chat, so I should see everything now, but just a heads up. Anyway, so your comment was, wait, if Swerve doesn't beat Moxley at Dynasty, that means we are going to go another 4 months of this fucking piece of shit title reign. Yes. Well, I mean, could he theoretically lose it at Forbidden Door or Double or Nothing? I mean, I suppose, but he's not going to. I honestly think Moxley will be champion until Darby Allin comes back. And they have Darby unseat him as champion at All In July. So yes, to answer your question, Rusty, I do think he would be champion for a full 4 months. Another 4 months. In addition to the 4 or 5 months he's already been champion, which is terrible. Johnny said Tyreek did it for Rikishi and Naomi. Yeah, he did. He did it for Love Ziggler. I did it for the Ziggler. Ahmed said it's in the 70s, 80s right now. Okay, that's not bad. I'm thinking it's like fucking 90s. 70s, 80s, temperature-wise is not bad at all. So hopefully you're enjoying yourself. And what have you been doing? Like just hanging out? Like is there stuff to do in Kenya? I'm curious. I mean, it's not even like I don't want to travel to Kenya thing. I don't want to travel really anywhere outside of the country regardless. I mean, there's a few places I would go, but I'm not like dying to go to any one country. I'd rather I'm such a homebody. I just do not like traveling at this point. Or at least being outside of like not being home for an extended period of time. I would fucking fail as a wrestler in a heartbeat. I would be terrible. I would never want to go anywhere. Richie said you dubbed RJ's sexy comment. No, I didn't dub it. I didn't dub anything. YouTube did. Daniel said, I'm putting my foot in Tyreek's ass. Don't put your foot in Tyreek's ass if you ever meet him in person. He's got to show up and explain himself. I got to give him a big, hearty hug. I got to embrace Tyreek and love Ziggler. Anyway, Fernando said earlier, do you think it was a mistake for John Cena to not change his look? Yes, I do. I appreciate the explanation. The explanation to a degree makes sense. He doesn't want to give us what we want because he's been giving us what we want for the last 25 years. I think that's great. I appreciate that he acknowledged it. I appreciate that he explained it. I think that explanation is bullshit, and what I think the real reason is, and quite honestly what I think he should have said, is we already made all these John Cena farewell t-shirts and whatever. You're going to fucking like it and buy my shirt because I'm over and I want the money. He really should have just said that. I think I would have had more respect for the fact that they're not going to change anything. You know that's why they're doing it. TKO is all about the money. Here Comes the Money is Shane McMahon's theme song. All About the Money is the theme song for TKO. All they want is fucking money. They are selling the John Cena t-shirt. I am convinced. You cannot convince me otherwise. They are having him keep his attire because they want to sell those fucking shirts. And people are like, oh yeah, he's not going to act like a cool heel, and that's why he's not going to change his music. Imagine if Roman Reigns said that. Imagine if Roman Reigns went heel and said, you know what, fuck you people, because you've booed me for so long. I'm never going to change my music. I'm going to come out to the Shield music for the next 20 years. I'm not going to change my gear because you've been booing me anyway. No, that'd be fucking awful. Imagine literally any heel turn in history. Hulk Hogan, for example. I mean, yeah, Hulk Hogan was a cool heel Roman Reigns, I would not say, I mean, he's cool, but like, I don't know, man. I just think that's fucking dumb. I just think it's stupid because people will still buy the Cena shirt anyway. So it's not like, oh, we're going to turn off merch sales by getting rid of all the Cena merchandise. No, he still has the same fucking merchandise. That's the part of that doesn't make sense to me. He said, fuck all you people that support me, but they're still going to buy his shirts anyway? Just say, fuck you people, I'm taking the shirts away. I'm taking the theme song away. You love singing along to the song. I could see him keeping the song for now because to get the whole Cena sucks thing, that's great. But like, if you really want to go all in with this shit, we've been seeing the same Cena for 20 fucking years. Why wouldn't they change it if only temporarily for like a month or two? That's the part of this that I think is stupid. I think that's ridiculous. Could he still change the look and the theme after a while? Yes, of course he can. I've seen people say, well, this is all part of the plan. First of all, you have no fucking clue. I feel like they're just making this up on the fly, first of all. And second of all, I like the promo overall. But second of all, I'm not getting my hopes up. He could still change the theme and the attire and whatever at Mania, right after Mania. I'm not getting my hopes up. I think it's going to be this until he turns back babyface, which, if it's by Mania, that would be terrible. If this is short-lived and then he just goes back to saying, I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said. I'm sorry. That would be atrocious. Anyway, Richie said, Tyreek is most definitely watching the stream still, laughing his ass off and watching the chaos unfold. He absolutely is. I am convinced that Tyreek is taking pleasure and satisfaction in the fact that I'm losing my mind over the fact that I don't know what Love Ziggler is. He did that on purpose. Who the fuck says I'm just going to stop in and drop a comment and then leave? You either, I don't know. He said he liked the video or something. I don't know. I appreciate his support, but he's doing this on purpose to drive me insane. Johnny said Mike Awesome might be the best flying heavyweight ever. I mean, he might be. I don't know. I have no idea. He might be, though. Daniel said, I already read his comment. Rusty said, I hate the filtering, LOL. I mean, that's YouTube. If you swear, then YouTube takes it out. I could swear all I want. I could swear talking on this video. They might not favor the video because I swear too much and I drop the F-bomb too much. Who fucking cares? Johnny said, no AEW title will ever change hands at Forbidden Door. Probably not. You talking about the AEW World Championship? Probably not. Forbidden Door is a pretty, at this point, like, missable show. I don't really give a shit. But like you said, oh yeah, I missed Forbidden Door when it was just New Japan and AEW. At this point, who does New Japan even have where an AEW versus New Japan card even is appealing? It's not. The ultimate Forbidden Door show, like WWE versus TNA at this point, is far more interesting and appealing than New Japan versus AEW, which they do all the time anyway. At this point, what's the point of even having that show? CMLL, I don't really give a fuck about most of those guys, so who cares? Rusty said, I'm pretty sure they have pivoted from Darby, and the guy is going to be Will Ospreay. He is going to be the one to beat Moxley at All In. I'm fine with either one. I think Darby would make sense. Ospreay would be great. I just don't want it to be at All In. I'm in the same boat as you, Rusty. I do not want to wait 4 months. That would be awful. Daniel said, Love Ziggler might be more over than Dolph ever was. I think so. Aside from the night after WrestleMania 29 in 2013, I think you're right. Rusty said, Darby going to climb Mount Everest killed all of his momentum. It's not just the fact that he left. It's when he left when he did. Like, I think Darby could have been champion late last year, but they didn't want to put the belt on a guy. They left to go climb Mount Everest, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it really did kill the momentum, his momentum, the momentum of the title scene. He'll come back and be over. I just don't want to wait until July. That's just, I mean, for the simple sake of this reign has been so bad that I do not want to wait another 4 months for it to be over. Ahmed said, I've been walking around and I went downtown this past Friday and the view looks great. Oh, that's cool. You also said, unfortunately, it'll be back in the 30s and 40s when I come back on Monday, an hour before Raw comes on to 2 p.m. Central Time in Minneapolis. Yeah, Minneapolis is, I can understand why WWE at this point, how they really want to book tourist attractions and shit for their shows. I can honestly understand why they wouldn't want to do Minneapolis for a WrestleMania. Because that was the plan, or that was the talk for a very long time, was that they wanted to run Minneapolis for WrestleMania. But at this point, it's all about the temperatures and inviting tourists and stuff like that. They just don't want to do that. So I'm not shocked. They're going there for a SummerSlam when it's going to be a little bit warmer. But in April, when it's going to be freezing, after what happened last year in Philly, which I was glad I could drive there and not have to fly, but temperature-wise, it wasn't pleasant for most of that weekend. Let's see. Daniel said, There were people in the crowd booing Cena while being fully decked out in his new merch, LMAO. Yeah, I mean, that Cena did a good job of getting those under those people's skin, I'll tell you that much. That kid was classic, though. That the shot of the kid that they showed of him, like shook over the fact that Cena shit on him was amazing. That's what I wanted 10 plus years ago. It's just the timing of the Cena promo that I didn't like. Like, this should have happened 10, 15 years ago. Why are you so bothered? Why are your feelings hurt now? He sounded like a whiny bitch, which I guess was the point. And that's good. That's fine, I suppose. Would have wanted him to take a different approach. It seems like he's not fully comfortable yet in the heel thing. I thought he did a very good job. My question is, if he's so bothered by people booing him, why did he wait until now to do it? Why wasn't it 10, 15 years ago? Because he always said for the longest time, oh, it doesn't matter if you're booing me, as long as you're making noise. What changed? That's the biggest question that I have. Johnny said TKO only cares about money and money, as they do. Richie also said thoughts on Ricochet lying out of his ass and saying that he could cook The Miz on the mic. Ricochet's new gimmick, for those that do not watch AEW or have not been keeping up or whatever, is that he's the delusional heel. He's trying to get the internet to hate him as much as possible. He's doing a really good job of doing that. So obviously that's not true. Miz, for as throwaway as a lot of his matches and segments are in 2025, Miz is just channel changing material. For me in 2025, that is what Miz is. Miz would even still destroy Ricochet on the mic. I'm sure they've had promos in the past on Raw where they were involved in the same segment, where they went back and forth on a promo. And I think Ricochet's been doing really well as a heel. But part of that is getting heat from people on Twitter. So that's why he said that. He got people talking. He's getting engagement. No one gave a fuck about Ricochet before, but at least people are talking about him now. So honestly, mission accomplished. Would he actually cook the Miz in the mic? Absolutely not. But I think he even knows that, and that's why he said it. Johnny said Tony still has the other pillars to put the AEW World title on, Jack Perry and Sammy. No, Johnny, no, he does not. Jack Perry as a world champion at this point, I'm kind of out on that. He just doesn't feel to me as a world champion caliber performer. Mid-card, yeah. Upper mid-card, maybe even. World title, no. I know he faced Danielson for the belt at All Out last year. That was as close as he should come to winning the world championship. At least right now. I like Perry a lot more than Sammy. At this point, I do not give two fucks about Sammy Guevara. His character sucks. He's been on Ring of Honor TV for the last year. Does anyone even really give a shit about Sammy being involved in the world title mix anymore? The time to push Sammy towards the world title would have been when they broke him off, or could have broken him off from Jericho in 2022. And they didn't do that. They kept him with Jericho, and it was terrible. So, no. Sammy will absolutely never be AEW World Champion, nor should he be. And Jack Perry, I'm not confident either about. Daniel said, being at Mania 40 was fun, but I was freezing my ass off. It was better on night 2. It was warmer on night 2, but night 1 was cold. Rusty said, I really hate Ricochet's new gimmick. Let's see. Johnny said, can't wait for Ricochet versus Omega at Dynasty. I love how you already know that he's winning that 4-way on Wednesday. Speedball could win. Speedball Mike Bailey could win that 4-way, and I would not be opposed to that. But I feel like the bigger pay-per-view match is Omega and Ricochet. Now, could Speedball win and then Ricochet beats him up after the Omega match because he was pissed that he took a shot from him? Yeah, sure. That's totally possible. I think Ricochet wins, though. I'm fine with either match. I think Speedball and Omega would be amazing as well. Richie said, Ricochet will dethrone Mox and become the new AEW World Champion. Hey, you know what? At this point, it might be better than Moxley. If Ricochet's AEW World Champion, that might be better than Moxley. The Death Rider shit is indeed death. Johnny said, are you interested in Bobby Lashley versus MJF? Kind of, but I don't think MJF's going babyface, so no. I don't think this is leading to an MJF babyface turn. The Hurt Syndicate isn't turning, I don't think. I mean, it's a fresh match, so I'm interested, yeah. Is it a feud I think we're getting, or do I think it's a money feud? Not really. But I like the exchanges on the mic between MVP and MJF. I thought they had a good promo last week together. I think if you continue on to that, it could be good. Richie also said, hashtag real glass, and he also said, man, Sammy can go kick rocks. That guy sucks. I used to really like Sammy. I'm not saying he's, like, awful, but at this point, like, it's hard to care about the guy. Maybe he's an amazing person, who knows? But he's just done a lot of dumb shit. He just comes off like a fucking prick. Nowadays, he's been on his best behavior, it seems like, but I just don't give a fuck about the guy. So maybe he's a sweetheart. I've met him before at Northeast Wrestling, nice guy, but that was years ago. I just do not give a shit about Sammy Guevara in the slightest. So let's move along here to some of the scheduled questions, and then we'll go back to the chat in a little bit. Jordan B sent in this question from YouTube. He asked, the headline question for today's video, right now, what do you think is the best women's match at WrestleMania? For me, as I put in the headline for this video, it's Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley back at WrestleMania 39. I would honestly probably say so, because you sent in that question and I started to go through my head. What are the best women's matches in WrestleMania history? And honestly, I think there was a period there from Mania 36 through Mania 39 where all the women's title matches they had, like the major ones, were better than the last. So, I mean, it had no fans, but I think Charlotte and Rhea, the first one, you're talking 39, but I'm talking the first one as well. The first one, honestly, may have been one of the best women's matches in Mania history. Now, it isn't now because there were no fans, so it's kind of hard to say it was the best WrestleMania women's match ever, and the outcome sucked. Charlotte winning was awful. They made good on it 3 years later, but at the time, it sucked. That was a great match. That was probably the best. It was better than the Mania 35 main event, I'll tell you that much. 34, Charlotte and Asuka probably would have been up to that point the best WrestleMania women's match. 33 had some multi-women matches that they were fine, weren't really anything great. 32, actually, you know what, up to that point, it was probably Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky. May have been the best WrestleMania women's match. 31 was a tag match. 30 was a multi-women match. 29 had nothing. So I think the best WrestleMania women's match up for a while was that triple threat at 32. Charlotte and Rhea wasn't better than that because it had no fans. I think Sasha and Bianca was better than the three-way at 32. I like the three-way at 32 more, but I think the better match, especially because it was the main event and Bianca winning, they made a new star. The match at 37 was probably better. The match at 38 was better than that. That being between Bianca and Becky for the Raw Women's Championship being called at that point. That was better than Bianca and Sasha. And then even better than that, I think, was Charlotte and Rhea. I do. The build for those matches, honestly, were not great. The best build for those matches was Bianca and Becky. The build to even Bianca and Sasha was awful. They were both baby faces. They did not feel like a big deal. There were no fans back then at that point either. But the build sucked. They were like teaming for most of that build. On the road to WrestleMania, even 39 with Charlotte and Rhea, the story sold itself, but the build was very weak. And they did not headline WrestleMania that year, but they had an amazing match, and that might have added to why that match was so great. They wanted to go out there and kill it. And the story goes was that Charlotte went out there and said, fuck this, we're not just getting 10, 15 minutes, we're going at least 20. And it ended up working out, and they had an amazing match. I have not watched the back since. But honestly, my answer is what you said. I do think Charlotte and Rhea for Mania 39 is the best WrestleMania women's match of all time. Mania 40 was what? Bayley and Io is up there too. Bayley and Io, the build was also up and down, but that match last year was excellent. And then Becky and Rhea also had a really, really good match. It's hard to rank them because I feel like they're all equally excellent. I feel like the best of that bunch was Charlotte and Rhea, to be perfectly honest with you. I feel like that could have worked as the main event. I'm not sure if they would have gone as hard, if it would have worked as well, if it was the main event compared to where it was on the card behind Sami and Owens versus the Usos. But I'm convinced. I think Charlotte and Rhea might be the best women's match in Mania history. Just my opinion. But all the best women's matches in Mania history all took place in the last 5 years. I know Trish and Mickie was on that list for a very long time, and it still is. But I think all the matches I mentioned, honestly, even Charlotte and Rhea from 36, despite the fact that I had no fans, may have been better than Trish and Mickie. Trish and Mickie was excellent. The problem is, it was just better than everything else that came before it. With a lot of the women's matches being like tag team matches or some gimmick shit. A lot of that shit sucked. We've had some really, really good women's matches at Mania in recent years. Gonna say Charlotte and Rhea is the best of the bunch. But honestly, you could say some of the other ones you mentioned, whether it be Bianca and Becky, which was also phenomenal in the early parts of Mania 38. You can make the case for that, or Bianca and Sasha, or even Bayley and Io, and honestly, I would probably agree with you. But for me, it's Charlotte and Rhea for Mania 39. So let me know in the chat. A lot of you guys said Melina and Alicia Fox. It's such a classic. I forgot there for a moment. Richie mentioned that earlier. Then the evening gown match, of course. You know, aside from those obvious answers, let me know what your favorite and best women's matches in WrestleMania history are. Micah Does It said on YouTube, what are the top 5 biggest Stone Cold Steve Austin pops in WWE? Now, are you talking like loudest pops ever in WWE, which we've answered before here on the show a couple of months ago. And like we call them Austin pops. I mean, really, it's called the Road Warrior pop. But what you're probably asking, Micah, is what are the loudest pops for Steve Austin in WWE history? I think the number one is still the top reaction in WWE history is when he came out. Well, actually, two. One, when he came out at Backlash 2000, when he helped The Rock win the WWE Championship. That one. And then also when he came out, in neither of these matches he was even involved in officially. He just came out to interfere. The second one being when he helped Mankind win the WWE title on Raw, January 4th, 1999. So I think it would probably be the Mankind reaction would be one, when he helped Mankind win. And then when he helped Rock win in 2000. Those are the biggest Stone Cold pops in WWE history. I think anything else is loud, but they don't come close. When he helped the Invasion angle, I think that's also probably up there. That was like a sustained pop when he turned babyface for like fucking 6 days in 2001 when he helped Team WWF against the Alliance before he joined the Alliance. That was a big deal. So that was probably up. That's probably top 5. If you want to throw in a recent one, then Mania 38 when he came out and that whole match with Kevin Owens. It wasn't really a pop, I guess. Maybe when he came out of WrestleMania 30 with the whole Rock and Hogan segment, that was a really loud reaction. He gets loud reactions constantly. When he came out at Raw 25, I was there for that one. That was my first time seeing Stone Cold live. So yeah, I would probably say when he helped Mankind in 99 and when he helped The Rock in 2000, to me are still not only the loudest Stone Cold pops in WWE, but two of the loudest pops in WWE in general. Mike's second question, was John Cena's explanation worth the 2-week wait, or do you feel like it was underwhelming? We talked a little bit about this before, and I'll go into more details about it with Mr. Marceau on WrestleRant Radio this week. I do think it was worth the wait. I thought it was a very good promo. We have not seen Cena as a heel in a very long time. Do I wish we would have gotten it sooner? Like, sooner after the heel turn? Yes. But I also think going on that same note, I also feel like it would have been better, it would have worked better if we got the promo a decade ago. If we got that promo 10, 15 years ago, I feel like it would have been a lot better. It would have made a lot more sense, too. It would have made a lot more sense as to, oh, you might hurt, my feelings are hurt. Like, he sounded like a whiny bitch, which was the point. I get it. Not exactly the Cena I thought we would get. I want the Cena sells out Cena, not the, oh, my feelings were hurt Cena, when he was already beloved anyway. So it's like, what do you really gain from any of this? And we all thought he turned heel because he was desperate to win 17. That could still be the case, and he just didn't mention it. The problem is he did not say that in the promo last night on Raw. It was underwhelming in the sense where some of the stuff just didn't make sense of what he said. And it was also underwhelming that he came out to the same music and the same attire, which I kind of expected. I'm just like, you know what? That's what it's going to be, so whatever. At this point, it's hard to care. It's underwhelming in that respect. Overall, though, just to hear him shitting on the fans in general, like he didn't say, oh, it was conflicted. He didn't come out acting like typical old John Cena, to be fair. He was not out there acting like nothing changed. That would have been a different layer of delusion, which would have been interesting, but it's like I said, we're getting heel Cena once. For the first time in 20 years. Go all in with it. None of the shit where he stays the same. That's probably what it's going to be. Whatever. But I just feel like it could have been a little bit more. That being said, though, we have a month to go until Mania. It's March 18th. Mania is April 19th and April 20th. We got a month to go. They still have some time to figure out what else he wants to say. We're getting on Raw next week, and I think the week after that in London. So, like, if Cena's going to be on those shows, you can't give everything away on week 1. He still has to go out there and attempt to bury Cody on the mic. He has to mention the Rock. He has to mention number 17. Maybe that stuff is still to come. I hope. That's my hope. If that was the peak of the Cena heel turn, then this is not going to be great. And I even said before he turned heel, one, I did not think it made sense. And I still have my reservations as to why I don't really think this makes sense. It's interesting, and I really enjoyed the promo overall last night, but I still think there's some things they need to address. But I even said before he turned heel, I don't know if he has it in him. He showed last night that he can make it work, to be fair. He knocked it out of the park. But I wasn't completely convinced because he's been this goofy, nice guy for so long. I'm not even really sure he knows how to be a bad guy. But he channeled his inner frustration, and he took it out on the fans last night in that promo, and I thought that part of it was great. That part of it was good. I still need to see more, though, and I think we will in due time. That's the hope anyway. Let's see. Back to the chat. I'll go back to the questions in a little bit. Let's go back to the chat for a little bit. Let's see. Alexa said he is such a shithead. Honesty. LOL. I know she's talking about Sammy Guevara. Yes, I know Alexis does not like Sammy. We have not liked him for a while. Why is joining us in the chat? The chat just broke on me, so give me a second. Hold on. Let's see if I think it broke off for a second. All right, I'm back. I apologize if it stopped working. I think my computer, not my computer crashed, the stream crashed there for a second. So if you're watching after the fact, it may have just cut out and then come back in. If you're watching live, hopefully it's working. If you guys can see and hear me, please let me know. But I think we're back. I think we're back to being good now. If there was an issue on my end because I think my computer was using so much memory that the chat like crashed for a second. But I think we're back to being. I think we're back to being good. Anyway, let's see. They were talking about Micah, or they were talking about Micah's here. Micah, great to see you in the chat, by the way. Hope you're doing well. But they were talking about Sammy Guevara. And Y is also here. So, like I said before, it crashed. Y said two things. One, how about Tyler dethroning Moxley? Who's Tyler? Tyler who? Tyler Black? Honestly, I honestly don't even know who you're talking about. Who is Tyler? Is there a Tyler in AEW? Tyreek, maybe? Tyreek dethroning Moxley? Y also said, also big Cena fan in 2012, Graham. Yeah, I'm wearing, that's what Daniel said earlier. Daniel thought I was dressing up like the Cena fucking attire in 2012. This is for St. Patrick's Day. But I should have bought the Cena shirt and the Cena fucking towel and the Cena everything. Just, that's funny that you made that comment as well. Micah also said earlier, Becky versus Bianca Mania 38 is my favorite women's match at Mania. Again, like I said, if you say that one, I won't disagree. It's an excellent match. Very good match. He also said Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha for Mania 32. Both of those were in Texas, Micah. I'm getting the feeling that you were there for both of those Manias, and that's why you might like them so much. Both of those matches are great, but I feel like you were there for those matches because they were both in Texas, and I think you're from Texas. Millennial Noob said, I believe that Charlotte Flair versus Asuka Mania 34. The match is good, but the result is dumb. So, Millennial Noob, a big Asuka fan. I know Noob, he's a big Asuka fan, so he's going with Charlotte and Asuka. Excellent match. I also hated the outcome, and the fact that Asuka tapped was dumb, but I think the match itself was great. I agree. Fernando said, Rousey, Flair, and Lynch was the best WrestleMania women's match. It's not even top 5, brother. I mean, if you think it's the best WrestleMania women's match, I respect your opinion, but it's not even top 5. All the matches I mentioned, Bayley Io, Bianca Becky, Charlotte Rhea. Charlotte Rhea won. Charlotte Asuka, the Mania Triple Threat at 32. All of those matches were better than Charlotte and Becky and Rhea. Ronda. All of those matches were better. I like the match. It's not a bad match, but the crowd was flat. It was a long show. People were tired. I was there. Trust me, I know. It was tough, and it was a good match. But the other matches I mentioned were much better. Fernando said, no, I already read that one. Johnny said Bianca, Io, and Rhea can have the best WrestleMania women's triple threat match. I think they have the potential to because they're all great. That's why I agree. Johnny said Kevin and Owens versus the Usos is the best normal tag team match in Mania history. Well, you said Kevin and Owens. So Kevin Owens had no partner? I would make the same mistake, so it's no worries. But you're talking about Kevin and Sammy. Yeah, I would probably say that's the best regular tag match in Mania history. I would agree with that. Fernando said, where do you rank Storm versus May Hollywood ending match among all-time women's matches? I mean, I don't know. It's best AEW women's match. It's definitely AEW's best women's match ever, for sure. It's better than Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker a couple of years ago. And they've had some great women's matches. Sasha, or rather Mercedes and Chris Statlander, I know people said that was like the best one. Storm and May for the feud alone was better. And the matches themselves were great. Doesn't have to be 20 minutes, but I do wish they got more time. Anyway, I would, maybe top 10. I don't know. It's hard to say because if we're including not just Mania, but ever, There's a lot of great women's matches, so I can't say. Is it the best women's match ever? Not even close. But for AEW, it is. It's AEW's best women's match ever, for sure. That should have closed the show, but whatever. Fernando also said, which was better, Hogan's explanation on Nitro or Cena's explanation on Raw? I haven't seen Hogan's explanation on Nitro. I should go back and watch it. I was not watching wrestling back then. I was a fucking year old. I have not gone back and seen it either. So maybe after we're done here, I'll go back and watch it. Cena's explanation was fine. Richie said, any interest in going to Slammiversary this July at the UBS Arena in New York? I do, actually. I've been to a number of TNA TV tapings. Alexis and I went to, I know Northeast Wrestling is going to be there in a couple of weeks, or in early May, rather. But they're going to, I think, Westchester County or something in New York. I forget where. It's like an hour from where we are. We went there for the TNA 1000 taping last fall, or the fall in 2023. Great show. Had a great time. I know Northeast Wrestling is running there and whatever. And I've been to a couple TNA TV tapings at the Hammerstein Ballroom, the Manhattan Center in New York City back in 2014 and 2015. But I've never been to a TNA pay-per-view. I've been to even a New Japan pay-per-view. I went to the G1 Supercard show that they ran at Madison Square Garden in 2019. Technically, that was a New Japan pay-per-view. I've been to an AEW pay-per-view, a few of those, Ring of Honor, WWE. Never a TNA pay-per-view, so I will probably go to that. It's not too far, and it should be a big show, so I will probably be there for sure. Millennial Noob said Tyler Black, formerly known as Seth Rollins. Yeah, is that who you're talking about? I know whoever Y said should Tyler dethrone Swerve. Is that, I don't know what Tyler are you talking about? And then Y also said they keep making Io look like the little sister, and I don't like it. Yeah, they kind of are, but at least she's fought back, though. Because Bianca and Rhea it was Bianca that Rhea blames for losing the championship. So it makes sense why they have a beef with each other. But Io isn't taking shit. She's not just getting pie-faced and then just like, oh, whatever. No, she's giving it right back to him and brawling with him. So the issue is really between Bianca and Rhea. So I get why Io feels like the afterthought, but at least she's even in the match and she's the champion. So they can't overlook her completely. But we'll see how it develops in the weeks to come. Fernando said, was it a bad look for AEW not to book Storm versus main event? Yes, not only was it a bad look, but it also was a bad look because what they main evented with instead was fucking terrible. It was probably the worst match in the entire show between Cope and Moxley. So it wasn't even like, oh, they really should have put the women's match on last, but at least they had this great match instead. It wasn't a great match. It was worse than everything else. So yes, it was a bad look for sure. Johnny said, is Toni Storm versus Mariah May the best women's hardcore match that you've ever seen? I can't even say that because I feel like we've gotten a... I'll get to your comment in a second, Alexis. I can't even say it's the best women's hardcore match ever because I'm sure there's been plenty in WWE that were also great that I'm just not remembering. So that comes to mind. Yes, it was. There might be other ones, though, that I'm just not remembering. Maybe some from NXT. I don't know. It might be, though. It might have been number one, but I did not watch that match and think that was the best women's. OBS studio is disconnected. It said it's reconnecting. Can you guys still hear me? Can you guys still see me? It says it's reconnected successful. All right. For whatever reason, we're having connection issues today. So if you can still see me, you can still hear me, please let me know in the chat. Almost caught up in the chat, so if I see your comment, then I'll know I'm still live here. But anyway, Alexis asked, is Tyler the new Love Ziggler? He might be. I don't know who I was referring to when he talked about should Tyler dethrone Mox? I don't know who Tyler is. Richie said, see and hear you loud and clear. Thank you, Richie. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. So, okay, so we're good. For whatever reason, the OBS studio, the back end of this stuff, has been giving me issues today. Average Grunt is here. He says, hello, everyone. Grunt, say hello to everyone in the chat. Say hello to Grunt, the 2025 Royal Rumble men's winner. Grunt, hope you're doing well, dude. I haven't gotten to your question yet, so I'll get to it in a little bit. Grunt said, yep, unlike Cena, I can in fact see you. Cena said he doesn't like those jokes anymore, Grunt. And Alexis said, yeah, you're good. Thank you, Alexis, as always, my IT person. I'm making Alexis, hold on. Let's see. I'm making Alexis a moderator. I've made this, we've been talking about this and I just keep forgetting to do it. She's not going to be like, there's really nothing to moderate. You guys aren't here causing chaos aside from Tyreek. But Alexis is going to be a moderator. So if you see a little Wrench next to her name in the chat, that means she's a moderator. Do not piss her off, otherwise she can block you. So that's what gives her the capabilities to do. But anyway, Johnny said earlier, say his name and he appears. I believe in Jake from State Farm. I don't believe in Jake from State Farm. I still believe in Love Ziggler. Tyler Love is Love Ziggler, or Tyler Love versus Love Ziggler. Oh, man. Well, Grunt even said, yeah, well, when have I ever cared about Cena's opinions? Those are some fighting words, Grunt. Those are some fighting words. Fernando said, was the beginning of last week the best few days women's wrestling between... Is it the best women's wrestling has ever been between Revolution and Roadblock? Ever? I don't know. But, I mean, we got some great women's matches, though, for sure. I mean, even Io and Rhea on Raw like a week ago was great. It was a very good match. But yeah, the Revolution women's match was great. Mercedes and Momo Watanabe, I don't really give a shit about, but I thought it was a fine match. And Stephanie and Julia had an amazing, excellent match at Roadblock as well. And yes, Fernando, Alexis does indeed have the power. So the next time Alexis chats, we should see. Alexis, I know you're watching / listening. When you get a chance, include in the chat, like just say anything in the chat. I just want to see if there's a wrench next to your name, which would mean that you're a moderator. Johnny said Max Caster should dethrone Moxley for the world title. Oh, yeah. Honestly, at this point, anyone would be better than Mox. Almost anyone would be better than Jon Moxley. Aside from Chris Jericho. I don't want to get too, carried away here. Why is asking, what is Love Ziggler? I'm confused. Listen, why? You were not here for WrestleRant Radio last week, but our friend Tyreek Cunningham, who will occasionally chat in, left a comment at the very beginning of that video last Thursday where he asked RJ and I, what would be your Love Ziggler nicknames? And I asked him, we all asked him, including RJ, what the fuck does Love Ziggler mean? And we have no idea. And Tyreek has yet to, he has commented, including on today's video, but he has yet to confirm what the fuck Love Ziggler means. I am guaranteeing you it was a typo, but he has yet to confirm that was the case. So that is the inside joke why. I apologize for you being left out of it until now. But that is what Love Ziggler is. We don't know. We all know Love Ziggler. We all don't know Love Ziggler. That's the point. Average Grunt said, speaking of Cena, bonus question, can we petition to rename the PG era to the C Nation era, much like how the Golden era is also known as the Hulkamania era? Yeah, I guess. I guess that would make sense. The PG era really was the Cena era, to be honest. But also the Cena era was like even before the PG era even started. Cena was on top in 05, so I don't even really think that's entirely accurate. The PG era started in 08. The PG era died a long time ago. I know it's still PG. WWE's not been completely PG since The Rock returned for the first time in 2011. They've been saying a lot of fucking words on that show that were not PG and been doing a lot of shit that was not PG. So I'm not even really sure that's accurate. But yeah, the C Nation era lasted 20 years. So you're not entirely wrong. Johnny asked, what is your favorite Chris Jericho match in AEW? Maybe that Moxley match, the first one at Revolution 2020 where he lost the belt. Hangman and him was good. I don't know if it's my favorite Jericho match. Him and Bandito had a really good match. I know they had a match recently for the Ring of Honor title. Their first one for the Ring of Honor title on Dynamite a few years ago was actually a great match. His Ring of Honor reign, the first one, the second one's been terrible, but the first one was actually entertaining for the most part, shockingly. He had a couple good matches during that run. Also, Eddie Kingston gave him a great match. Not the rematch, the barbed wire shit, that was terrible, but the initial match on, I think it was Revolution 2022. I think it was the opener, actually. Could be wrong. But yeah, Jericho and Kingston, Revolution 2022. Him and Moxley, Revolution 2020. Him and Bandito in 2022. Those are probably Jericho's best matches in AEW. And the Omega match from Double or Nothing 2019 would also be up there as well. Love Ziggler should win all the titles. I agree, Richie. I think he should. Also, Love Ziggler should take the title from Jon Moxley. I also agree with that, Fernando. Millennial Noob said, if Asuka does make a return, how will WWE book her return? Will they have her go after the women's tag titles again and have her turn heel on Io Sky? Yeah, I could see that. Honestly, when Asuka comes back, I don't know what they do with her. I just assume they'll reunite Damage Control, put her back with that group. But, we got a couple Io and Asuka matches. Yes, Alexis, there is a wrench right next to your name, so you are indeed a moderator. Yes, you have a wrench, and your name is Blue. which means that you have the power. She's got the power. What was I saying? Talking about Asuka. Yeah, I don't know what she does when she comes back because she's done it all, honestly. Like, I think her being gone for a year, I honestly have no complaints because she really wasn't doing much of note before she left. So I can't really complain. I don't know what she does though. Probably teams with Kairi Sane goes after the tag titles. It's not like Liv and Raquel have much competition anyway. Johnny said, "I'm happy WWE brought back blood." Me too. It's added a lot to the product. Grunt said, "Believe I have brought up my issues with the PG era label either on Twitter or here on hashtag AskGSM, but I think the C Nation era fits better since that time period between 08 and 2011 was peak Cena wins. LOL." Yeah, but people still call it the PG era even past 2011. So I hate the whole era shit anyway because it's like, when do eras really start and stop? Like, I feel like in the last 10 years, there was like the reality era, then the Renaissance era, and the Netflix era, the network era. There's been so many fucking eras, it's hard to keep track. The Shield era, the Four Horsewomen era. It's just like, I don't know. It is what it is. The Triple H era. Johnny said, Hook is Jericho's best rivalry. Absolutely not. Jericho definitely had better feuds than the Hook one. The Hook one sucked. Richie said, interesting question. Any interest in seeing Eddie Kingston in WWE? Any interest? I like Eddie Kingston. I don't know if he would mesh well in WWE, though. I just think with his... the thing with Eddie Kingston is that he's... And Micah, I know, is shit on Eddie Kingston. A few people here do not like Eddie Kingston. I think Eddie Kingston's great. What really works about Eddie Kingston is his genuineness and the realness. He's older now, so I think, honestly, the best time for him to go to WWE would have been when he was younger. But at that point, Vince McMahon was in charge. So if he went to, he would, first of all, they didn't want him. If they wanted him, they could have hired him years ago. I doubt they even really wanted him that badly. Because if they really wanted him, they could have hired him. He was in Evolve, and WWE was working with Evolve back in 2017, 2018, 2019. I remember seeing him. I think he was on the fucking network show back in 2021 or whatever it was, or 2019. But they didn't want him. So their loss was AEW's gain. And at this point, he just might be older. I don't really even know what they would do with him. He kind of feels like the equivalent of what Kevin Owens is to the company in a different way. I think Owens is better in the ring. Eddie Kingston, at this point, it just depends what they would do with him. I think him in WWE would be cool in the current WWE. I just don't really know what they would do or how he would mesh. He might just... I think he feels like the heart and soul of AEW in a lot of ways. I would probably him just stay there. I would have interest for sure. I think Eddie Kingston's very good, though. I think he has his strengths. Johnny said, my favorite Jericho match... Well, let's see. Where was the question that I saw earlier? Someone had Fernando asked, who was in your women's Mount Rushmore? Trish Stratus, probably Trish, Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, Bailey, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not really sure. Bianca, I feel like it's too soon. Lita, it would probably be Lita, Trish. Rhea, I think it's a little too soon. I would wait a couple more years until I put her in there, but she might be in there at some point. It would probably be Charlotte, Becky, Trish, and Lita. Might be my women's Mount Rushmore. Fuck Fabulous Moolah. Johnny said his favorite Jericho match is the first Anarchy in the Arena. I fucking hate all the Anarchy in the Arenas. I'm in the minority on that. I thought those matches were garbage, but that's just me. You also said Jade and Naomi can have the best women's match without a title involved in Mania history. I mean, that's a very low bar because WWE's had a lot of non-title women's matches in Mania for the women, but they're never one-on-one, and there's always a stipulation or a tag team match. No, just give me a basic women's singles match, and that would be the first one after 40 years of Mania. Alexis is very excited to be a moderator. So, anyway. I think Jade and Naomi, if they do have a singles match in Mania, it would be the first singles match in Mania that did not have some bullshit stipulation, which is kind of crazy to think about. And Johnny said, now I want to see a wrench used in AEW. There you go. Fernando said, is it too late to Becky be at Mania? Yeah, but I mean, she could return at Mania. I think it's more likely she comes back after Mania at this point, but I also said she would be back before Mania, so honestly, at this point, I have no idea what to believe. Alexa said that she changed the messages, so it's not just top messages anymore. You can see everything. I mean, that might be on your own end. Unless I don't know, that might be everyone. I'm not sure. Because on my end, I have let's see, live chat. Yeah, I could change it to live chat on my end. All right, cool. And at some point, by the way, I'm going to put the chat on the videos itself so you guys can read the chat. I don't have that currently. Obviously, if you watch the videos, you just see me. And you can go back and read the chat later. They have the live chat available after the fact, like a day later. At some point, I will move my video over to the left or right and have your guys' chat also on the video. So if you're watching after the fact, you'll know what the fuck I'm talking about. Alexa said Eddie is too similar to KO. Yeah, then they're a little too similar, but I feel like they'd be a great tag team though. Fernando said, I already answered that one. Eddie would be too real for WWE. Yeah, he probably would be. Fernando said, I like Eddie Kingston, but he looks too much like a mechanic. LOL. I mean, if he's talented, I mean, you could say the same thing about Daniel Bryan in 2014, but the guy was fucking great, so I can't complain. Grunt said, fair enough, stuff like establishing eras really falls in my autistic hyperfixation with every little detail of the business. I like the era stuff too, but it's like, it's just hard to quantify when we're still living in them, you know? It's hard to, it's easier to kind of, I doubt when WrestleMania 17 was over that people said, oh yeah, the Attitude Era is over. Maybe they did. I feel like people were still living it. They felt like they were living it in it at that point. Richie said, terrible Mount Rushmore. Got to get Ava Raine in there, he said. Yeah, I know you're right. Got to get Ava Raine in there. Got to get fucking Alicia Taylor in there, Alexis's favorite. Who else were we shitting on? Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is great. I got to get Ava Raine in there, though. Alexis said, Anarchy in the Arena nearly triggered an anxiety attack in me. It was way too overstimulating. Yeah, I remember that. Grunt said, to hell with the fabulous Moolah, for sure. Johnny said, do you think AEW misses the mark by not having female legends appear or wrestle? I don't really think it makes that much of a difference. They did make an overture to Lita at one point. They made her an overture, and she didn't want to come in. She went back to WWE instead. So it's not like they haven't tried. I don't know if they tried to get AJ Lee when CM Punk was in AEW. She's obviously not going there now, I don't think. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would have been cool if they did something with Wendy Richter, who's still alive. She's not going to fucking wrestle, obviously, but you know, Tony Storm was calling her out for so long, and Wendy Richter was doing a signing recently. She made it sound like AEW never reached out to her. So that was not that big of a deal, but they kind of dropped the ball by not capitalizing on that when she was really at her peak. Noob said with Natalya Neidhart competing at the Crockett Cup in May, will this open a door between a possible partnership between WWE and the NWA? I didn't think it would, but it looks like it might. Because when we talked about it a couple months ago, oh, WWE and NWA working together, I kind of poo-pooed on it because what does WWE really gain from working with the NWA at this point when they have really nothing of value to offer WWE unless it's like archive footage or something? But now they are. So, yeah, this could open the door, but again, for what's the benefit? Like, does WWE want some of their younger people? Like, do they want to work with fucking Tyrus or something who doesn't work there anymore? But, like, is WWE getting something out of it? I don't know. And they shouldn't have to, but I'm just thinking of it the way that they're probably looking at it. Richie said, Anarchy in the Arena is to AEW what Brawl for All was to WWF, but the difference is Tony thinks it's good. Yeah, we get it every year, so we must love it. The fans like it too. Even Johnny said, Anarchy in the Arena is my cup of tea. The Magic Plumaire said, first of all, thank you for joining as always. Great to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining in the chat. Why was Rhea mad at Io for slapping her as if she didn't pie her in the face first? Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Rhea was acting like a baby last night. Oh, I signed my name to the contract. I should be in the match. Doesn't fucking work like that. Even Adam Pearce said that. The promo that Rhea cut on Raw when she lost the Women's World Championship 2 weeks ago. Where the fuck was that on Raw last week or this week? Either replayed or have her cut the same promo where she's like falling apart. She's acting like a baby instead. Grunt said, oh, don't get me started on WrestleMania 17 being the end of the Attitude Era, Graham. Well, I feel like it is. I mean, when Stone Cold turned heel and joined Vince McMahon, in a lot of ways, that really killed whatever was left of the Attitude Era anyway. Noob said Anarchy in the Arena is straight up annoying, especially with the music playing in the background. That was bad, and the spots is crazy. It's too much. Yeah, that's my opinion, but, you know, a lot of people like it. Magic Plumaire said Eddie Kingston to me gives off the same fake NY tough guy shtick that Billy Raymond does. All right, interesting. Richie said, remember when Cameron told the ref to count the pin when she had Naomi on her belly? I do remember that. That is our go. Cameron is our go. Are you bringing up Cameron because she's on the first season of Total Divas, Richie? Her and her boyfriend, Vinny, that clown. Johnny said, hopefully we get a female Anarchy in the arena in Blood and Guts this year. If it hasn't happened yet, it's probably, I don't know. I feel like AEW's women's division was in better shape like a year or two ago where it would have made sense. I don't know why we haven't gotten it. Like when they were doing that Outcast angle, which I didn't really give a shit about, but it would have made sense to do a Blood and Guts match then when they had a women's faction. At this point, I don't even really know who else would be in it unless it makes sense. Don't do it unless it makes sense. Fernando said, Cyndi Lauper should be in the Hall of Fame celebrity wing. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. It should happen this year. Really, should have happened a long time ago. Richie said, Rhea and Adam's encounter yesterday was pretty damn funny, though, despite her acting like a child. Yeah, she acted like a baby, but it was funny, though. Adam Pearce is so underrated, he says. He sells so many things so well. Adam Pearce is very good in his role. I'll give him that. He's very good in the GM role. Fernando said, do you think Rhea is turning heel? She could. I feel like it'd be a waste. She just went babyface 6 months ago. I would turn Bianca before I would turn Rhea. If that's the case, they're making Rhea look like a baby, but they really should turn Bianca first. I was going to say, Magic Plumayera said Billy Raymond. I was like, who the fuck is Billy Raymond? Is that like everyone hates Raymond? Everybody hates Raymond? That's everyone hates Chris. Everybody loves Raymond. We all love Raymond. We hate Chris. That's what it is. Love Raymond, hate Chris. I got to get that right. But I'm thinking, who the fuck is Billy Raymond? That must be a reference I don't get. But he's talking about Bully Ray. That's very far from Bully Ray. That's why I'm convinced that Tyreek meant something else by Love Ziggler. It must have been a typo issue. He must have wrote Love Ziggler, but he meant to say like something else. I don't know. Johnny said New York Knicks are winning the NBA titles. If they do win the NBA titles, it's because of Vince McMahon being at the game last night. He was at a Knicks game last night, so if they win, they can thank Vince McMahon for being a good luck charm. Richie said, I stand Cameron and Vinny. No, they were not great together, let's put it that way. We just started season 3. Holy shit, Rosa Mendez is insufferable. She was awful. Rosa was just awful on the show. She was awful on that show. She was awful in the ring. The fact that she lasted 10 fucking years on the main roster, not let alone like developmental, she was in that company for over a decade, is mind-boggling to me because she was so fucking bad. Noob said, I enjoy Stadium Stampede. It was fun and chaotic, especially that spot with Sammy getting run over by Matt Hardy, or almost got run over by Adam Page. The first Stadium Stampede I enjoyed. The second one was okay. The first one was very enjoyable. Given the circumstances during COVID, I like that one. Plumayera said, when Adam Pearce went off on Ronda Rousey, that was a classic. Yeah, back in 2022. That's probably how a lot of the people in the back felt about it. That's probably why they did it. Nick Aldis is a professional in his job as GM. I agree, Noob. Rhea is a true babyface, Johnny says. I mean, she can be, but she's not acting like it. Plumayera said, Tracy Morgan puked his brains out of the Knicks game, LMAO. I did not see that. I'm not sure I want to. That sounds gross. Fernando said, the parents on Everyone Loves Raymond are the best TV parents. Never watched the show. Know the show. I've probably seen an episode. Never watched it. I don't know. I just never. It was before my time. Plumayera said, Rosa being with Michael Hayes probably kept her employed. Yeah, I didn't want to mention that, but that's probably a factor. Whole lot of lore there for those that don't know it, just Google it. But yeah, there's a lot of rumors about her being with Michael Hayes and doing favors for him, which is fucking disgusting. That might have been why she was employed for so long, most likely. They fired a lot of women. The time that she was gone and the time that she was there, they fired a lot of women that should have been kept around. Anyway, next question, let's see, from the scheduled questions, comes from Grunt, actually, who should still be here. He sent this in by YouTube this morning. He barely made it in right before I closed off the window before we went live here. But he sent this question via YouTube. An AEW question. He said, if the International and Continental Championships do get unified, should the new belt, 1, be renamed the Intercontinental title, and 2, should it retain the Continental title rules, 20-minute time limit, no interference, defended at every C2? No and no. I think to call your championship the Intercontinental Championship would just be, I was going to say lazy, but didn't New Japan have an Intercontinental title? Because I was going to say there was the only Intercontinental title in wrestling is the WWE one, any major one anyway. Like TNA did not have an Intercontinental title. They had the X Division title. MLW doesn't have a mid-card title called the Intercontinental title. AEW hasn't up to this point. Ring of Honor doesn't. WCW didn't. They had the United States Championship, which WWE later adopted and took and whatever. I think New Japan had an intercontinental. They did. They had an intercontinental title. So it's not like it hasn't been done before. At this point, it's not that big of a deal. It's a fucking name. But honestly, just keep the international championship. Get rid of the continental championship. There's no reason for the continental title to be defended as a fucking belt. The Continental Tournament, the Continental Classic, to me, should be a tournament to determine the number one contender for the World Championship. To even have a Continental title that people are fighting for, it has no value. It means nothing. Who cares? So I would get rid of those rules. Who cares? 20-minute time limit. Who gives a shit? The no interference thing is nice. They should just implore that for all the matches. So no, get rid of the Continental title rules. Get rid of the Continental title in general. And keep it the International Championship. Keep one belt. Just call it that. No L from Facebook. What did you think of John Cena's first heel promo after turning heel on Raw? I mentioned this earlier, but I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I was hoping he would come out in the music attire like most people. He did not. At least he explained it. I like the delivery. It was a bit too whiny for me. It was just it didn't feel real. Like there's some heel turns and heel promos. Like when Drew went heel, it felt real. This didn't feel real. It was like, and obviously it's because he's been a babyface for so long, but it just kind of felt phony, like he was reading off a script. And some of the shit that he said made sense, but it didn't make sense in the sense that, oh, you hurt my feelings because you booed me and stuff for all these years. It was never good enough for you. It was good enough for these people a fucking month ago when they were cheering you. That's the part about this that doesn't make sense to me. Like they were finally all cheering him, and then he turns heel, joins with The Rock. Why? The timing doesn't make sense. So I liked it, and there were parts I didn't like. Overall, though, I thought it was good. No L's second question. What would be your top 5 WrestleMania match cards of all time? I have no idea. Match cards? I've always said Mania 17, I still think is the best Mania of all time. Especially because it had a little bit of everything. So I think Mania 17 is absolutely in the conversation. Mania 17 was great, but it also had a little bit of everything. So it wasn't just about the moments. Like match cards on paper. So Mania 17... I would go WrestleMania 21. I was looking at the card the other day for Mania 21. It had like 7 or 8 matches. Some filler bullshit like Trish and Chris Hemme, who cares? And like Yokozuna and Big Show, who cares? But like Eddie and Ray, first Money in the Bank ladder match. Shawn and Kurt, Taker and Orton, Batista Cena, Cena JBL. A lot of good to great to excellent matches. So I think Mania 21 would also be on that list. 21, 17... if you want to include a recent one, probably 39. I think 39 had a better overall card on paper than even 40. 40 had bigger moments, but 39 had a better card on paper and better matches probably overall. So 39, 17, 21, 24 I think is a very complete Mania. Big Show Mayweather was fun. Edge and Taker, great. Orton, Triple H, Cena was a very good triple threat. Even the Irish Brawl or whatever between Finlay and JBL was fun. That was a good opener. Money in the Bank that year was great. The Playboy Bunny match, whatever the fuck, whatever that was. That tag team match with Beth in it was whatever. I think the lights went out at one point actually during that match. But overall, that was an excellent Mania. I'd probably go 24, 21, 17, 39. None of the early cards really stand out to me as being like overly excellent. Maybe WrestleMania 10, because Mania 10 had the first ever ladder match, I think, between Shawn and Razor, and then also Bret's big moment between him and Yokozuna. Yokozuna pulling double duty, also Bret and Owen. So I'll go off the top of my head, 10, 17, 21, 24, 39. Those are my top 5. Best Mania match cards of all time. I'm curious what you guys think. Let me pull up the chat real quick and see if you guys agree or disagree. I'll read through the chat again before I go back to the questions. Johnny said, you don't watch old school shows? I do. I watch old school shows. I just have not gone back and watched Everyone Loves Raymond. I just haven't watched that show. I mean, I've seen it. Monk, Psych are old school shows. Monk came out over 20 years ago. I fucking love that show. I just haven't watched that show specifically. Grunt said, my biggest issue with Anarchy in the arena is that there's too much walking and brawling. If everything was kept around the ring, or at least no farther than up the stage, then I would enjoy them a lot more. Well, the whole point is that it's around the arena. and not just around the ringside area. I agree with you. That's the whole point of the match. Johnny said, I'm not intrigued by seeing Okada versus Omega in AEW, especially at this time. I disagree. I think it's a big match they can do. I think it's going to be a great match. The longer you wait, the older they're going to get, specifically Omega. He gets hurt a lot. He's older now. He's winding down. We got to get it now. Now is the time to do it, specifically at All In. Fernando said, do you think Charlotte should have chose Rhea instead there to complete their Mania story? Complete what story? The fact that to have a trilogy? No. They already completed the story. The whole story was that Rhea could not beat Charlotte. She finally beat her by a pinfall at Mania 39. There's no more story to go back to. Aside from them just having a rubber match, that doesn't interest me. Right now, that does not interest me. I think the match they did instead, Charlotte and Tiffany, although the feud has not been great so far, and even honestly, if they went back to Charlotte and Rhea, let's be fair, the feud would not have been much better than whatever we're getting with Charlotte and Tiffany right now. Grunt said, yeah, New Japan had one. It was booked really well as well. People to this day still wanted to come back. I'm honestly shocked they got rid of it. They have a global title instead. Who cares? New Japan, who gives a shit? Johnny said, Okada versus Omega 3, or in AEW will be like Godfather 3. We'll see. You might end up being right. You might end up being right. Mania 31. Yeah, Mania 31 I would put on that list too for best Mania overall cards. I'll take 24 away. I'll say 21, 31, 39, 10, and 17. Yokozuna and Big Show sucked average. Grunt, obviously. Now you're pulling my leg. Yokozuna. Did I say Yokozuna? Holy shit, I meant Akibono. My bad. I didn't know. Yeah, I thought you were trolling. Like, oh yeah, it was a great match. I said Yokozuna. Brother, he was dead for fucking 5 years by the time the match happened. I just realized what I said. Yeah, I guess, Big Show and Akibono. I'm sorry, not Big Show and Yokozuna. What the fuck am I saying? Brother, oh my God. Fernando, what's the best Cena match ever in your opinion? Him and CM Punk. Either Money in the Bank 2011 or the match on Raw in February 2013. Or him and AJ Styles, SummerSlam 2016. Any of those, to me, are seen as best matches ever. The Shawn Michaels, quote-unquote, Iron Man match on Raw in England in 2007 is also up there. The matches I mentioned are probably better overall, though, in my opinion. Grunt said AEW Dynasty 2024 and Forbidden Door 2023 for best cards. Well, if you're for overall, like in wrestling, I can't say wrestling because I haven't seen every WCW card and whatever, but AEW's best cards, I mean, they have a lot. We're talking manias here, I think was the question. But for wrestling in general, those shows were good. Those shows were very good. Kevin Federline. Bro has a win over Cena. Yes, he does. Cena has not lost to a lot of people that he has not eventually beaten. Kevin Federline is one of them. That's why that should have been why he turned heel. Yeah, when he lost to Kevin Federline in 2006 or 7. I agree. Shawnee said, I know SummerSlam 2002 is your favorite SummerSlam match card. It is. SummerSlam 02 is my favorite SummerSlam match card. It's the best overall SummerSlam card from start to finish. Easily. SummerSlam, I don't know if it's the best SummerSlam, but it's definitely the best match card overall. Gotta be. Grunt also said, Mania-wise, 19 had a strong card, 34 as well, if it had only better pacing in 2 nights instead of 1. 34 fell off a cliff. I like 34. 34 fell off a cliff after what? The mixed tag team match or the 4-way for the U.S. title? 34 had a good card on paper, but after a certain point, it kind of fell apart. 19, though, 19 would be up there. 19 was also a very good show overall. That also comes close to being a complete Mania card. And he said, and of course, I'm here to put the WrestleMania 20 card up there. I know, Grunt, you're a big WrestleMania 20 fan. I know you're a big WrestleMania 20 fan, so of course, I'm not going to say Mania 20, but for you, I know that's what you would say. So I totally understand. Johnny said best Royal Rumble show. Best Rumble show. Best Rumble show they've ever done? Honestly, it might be 08. Might be 08. I think this year's Rumble show is very good. This year's show, I think they've had better Rumbles than this year. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. '08 was good, though. They had Edge and Ray, Orton and Jeff, the Rumble itself, one of Rick's last matches. '08 stands out to me. 2013 was good. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, though. Fernando also said, would Cena have gotten over as he gotten in the Attitude Era? So I guess you're saying, like, would he have gone over as much in the Attitude Era as a fucking heel he would have with this with the babyface gimmick? No, he would have been eaten alive. I can never pronounce your name. I apologize, but he said, does it feel like this Mania Triple H is kind of like, all right, let's get through this? The thing is, a little bit, part of it is nothing can match last year, but some of the undercard matches, kind of feel like thrown together. Like if they do Breaker and Penta, I'm looking forward to that match, but it just kind of came out of nowhere last night. It feels like we're getting a lot of multi-man, a lot of multi-women. The main events kind of sell themselves, but the undercard leaves a lot to be desired for me personally, although there is potential there. So yeah, it kind of feels like maybe let's just get through this card and let's move on. But, I think it has potential to be a great show. It's just hard to top the excitement from last year. But so far, I think they're doing a good job in the Cena heel turn. Whether you like it or not has added a lot to that. If you are just joining us now, be sure to like the video. I would appreciate it. I mentioned it earlier on, but be sure to like the video if you haven't already. Johnny said SummerSlam 2013 is the second best SummerSlam. I would say that too. SummerSlam 2013 is another, that might be my favorite SummerSlam show that I was a fan for. I was not watching in '02. I love SummerSlam '08. SummerSlam 2013 is a fantastic show, if only for the top three matches. Bray also had his first main roster match on that show, which wasn't a great match, but it was a spectacle, I suppose. But Del Rio Christian was great. Brock and Punk was amazing. And Cena and Bryan is great. And the show closing angle with the Authority debuting, which was the peak of the Authority. I just hit my mic, I apologize. But that was the peak of the Authority. It was all downhill from there. But that was a great show. Alexis also said Rumble 2020 men's was their best men's Rumble OAT at the moment, or I don't know what OAT means, but of all time, I think she's saying. I don't know if the Rumble in 2020 is their best of all time. It's definitely up there. I mean, I've said before the 92 one was the best one, but I mean, honestly, if you say 2020, it's not, you're not wrong. That is a great answer. But Alexis mentioning the Rumble in 2020, not just the men's Rumble, I think that show itself might be one of the best Rumble shows ever. Now, that show had Bayley and Lacey Evans on it, which was not a good match. But they also had Roman and Baron Corbin on that show. Now, which sounds awful, but like they had a Falls Count Anywhere match that was actually a lot of fun. They had a really fun Falls Count Anywhere match on that show. I thought the women's Rumble that night was great. And I thought the men's Rumble was very good too. It was an amazing men's Rumble. So honestly, the men's Rumble, or the overall 2020 Rumble show, might be a contender for best Rumble show ever. If not the best, probably not the best, but overall Rumble show, it would certainly be in the conversation. Let's see here. We'll wind down with a couple questions here. We got 5 questions to go, I believe. At Iwagu91 said, with Ray Phoenix joining WWE soon, do you think he'll keep the Ray in his ring name or just be Phoenix like he was in Lucha Underground? I was thinking when I read your question, why would they take the Ray out? Like I'm thinking, he's Penta. Penta is just Penta because his name in AEW is Penta El Cero Miedo, which is kind of a mouthful, and they just want to go with Penta in WWE. That's fine. They can't use Pentagon Jr. That was trademarked by AAA, so that's why they can't call him that, and they haven't been able to use that in a few years. If he was able to use that, they probably would have used Pentagon Jr. instead of just Penta. But I'm thinking, they wouldn't just call him Phoenix just to match Penta, right? Like, we don't need to have just one name guy. Like, if they're going to team at some point, it doesn't have to be Penta and Phoenix. It can be Penta and Ray Phoenix. But then I kind of remembered, you know what? They already have a luchador with the first name of Ray. And I hate the idea, like, two people can't have the same first name. But he's going to get compared a lot to Rey Mysterio anyway. And he was already Phoenix. And I remember him as just being Phoenix in Lucha Underground. So honestly, I would just use Phoenix. Phoenix and Penta. He doesn't really need the Ray. If they call him Ray Phoenix, that's totally fine. But since Rey Mysterio, people are going to compare him to Rey Mysterio anyway, I wouldn't add to that by... If it sounded stupid, then maybe. But just Phoenix, I think, works. So I honestly would just go with Phoenix. But if they call him Ray Phoenix, that's fine too. His second question, do you see Io Sky retaining the Women's World Championship in the inevitable triple threat match at Mania? No, I think Bianca wins. I think Bianca extends her winning ways at WrestleMania. She's won her last, 4 WrestleMania matches? 37, 38, 39, 40. I think she wins this year. I think she pins Io, actually. I think Io's in the match to take the pinfall loss. If Io retains, a la Randy Orton in at WrestleMania 24 or Charlotte at WrestleMania 32, I wouldn't be upset at that. But I do think Bianca, I mean, could they say, oh, Bianca didn't get pinned, so therefore she's still undefeated? Yeah, I guess. But just keep the winning streak going or end it. And I don't think they would end it in a triple threat. So I would have Bianca probably win. If Io wins, then great. I do think Bianca wins. I would not put the belt back on Rhea this quickly. That would just be a waste of time. So it's to me Bianca, then Io, then Rhea as far as who I want to see win that match. Next question from ULQ91. Even though Katana Chance and Kaden Carter are on the main roster, do you see them appearing in TNA to challenge for the TNA Knockouts Tag Team titles? It's possible. I mean, they're not doing jack shit on the main roster, and they haven't for a very long time now. So the thing is, they popped up in NXT, so they can honestly make the case for them being NXT superstars, and that's why they're in TNA, because there was an NXT crossover there, not really the main roster. So yeah, I think there's still a chance they could pop up in NXT, or rather or NXT 2 again, but specifically TNA. I mean, it's not a massive addition to the TNA roster, but they can go after the tag titles because they're not doing fucking jack shit on the main roster, so why the hell not, you know? Last 2 questions here from Chris Wolf, 66965. I like JDCW's question a little bit more, so I'll save that for last, even though we asked it first. But Chris Wolf's question was, why is Tony Khan so freaking awkward? Which I thought was a funny question. He's always been awkward. Tony Khan is a very awkward individual. I don't know if it was how he was raised. He seems like a nice guy, at the very least. He seems like a nice guy. At least he's not awkward in a fucking, like Vince McMahon. He doesn't have, like, rape allegations and stuff like that. I probably shouldn't use that word with the possibility of being blocked or banned and censored and whatever. There's a lot of allegations out there about Vince. At least Tony Khan does not have that stuff, but that does not make him any less weird in his own right. So why is he awkward? I don't know, but it's been that way for a very long time. So funny you're only asking that now, not like 5 years ago when it was first apparent. But anyway, last question for real. On the scheduled questions, we'll go back to the chat in a moment. At JDCW555, is WrestleMania 41 at risk of becoming a WrestleMania 2000 situation in that there's way too many multi-man matches and not enough singles matches? No, because I think WrestleMania 2000, let's look it up. Because I think WrestleMania this year is going to have, on tap anyway, not all matches are confirmed. There's going to be a fair amount of multi-man matches this year. The women's triple threat match for the women's title. Probably a multi-man match for the IC title or US title. We're definitely getting Roman, Punk, and Rollins in a triple threat. Definitely a multi-man match for the tag titles on the SmackDown side, maybe even the Raw side. So that is a lot of multi-man matches, but we are also getting Cody and Cena, Jay and Gunther, Orton and Owens, Tiffany and Charlotte. I mean, that's not a lot of singles matches, but it's more than WrestleMania 2000. So let's say WrestleMania 2000 may have had only like fucking one regular singles match. We're getting more this year. I'll tell you that much. WrestleMania 2000 had a great roster, but they were all just multi-man matches because they wanted to get everyone on the card. So WrestleMania 2000 had 9 matches. We had a tag team match to open the show. That might have been the pre-show because I don't remember that match at all. Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan versus Godfather and D'Lo Brown. I don't remember that shit at all. A hardcore battle royal. Another tag team match. A triangle ladder match, of course, between Edge and Christian. The Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys for the tag titles. A cat fight. So there was a singles match with those women, which was awful, between Terry Runnels and the cat. A 6-person intergender tag team match. A 2-fall triple threat match for the IC and European tag titles, the Intercontinental and European titles. Another tag match between Kane and Rikishi and D-Generation X, and then a 4-way elimination match. So they did not have a single standard singles match on that show. A single standard one-on-one match on that show. They did for the women's match, but it had a stip and it sucked. So WrestleMania 41 is definitely not WrestleMania 2000. But there will be a lot of multi-man matches, and I don't love that. Either you're on the card or you're not. You're in the fucking Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, or you have a singles match at Mania, or a match that makes sense. You can do triple threats in 4 ways. But if you're doing, like, the fact that we're getting 2 triple threats, I think is lazy. If we get 2 multi-team tag title matches at Mania, I know Mania 20 did it, and Grunt's not going to want to hear that, but I feel like that's lazy, especially if there's no story. On the SmackDown side, it makes sense. On the Raw side, it's just fucking random. If we get a 6-man tag, that's fine. That's been every Mania for the last couple of years because it's 2 nights, so I get it. It is what it is. But I don't know. You would just think that they would have done more singles matches back in 2000 with the roster that they have, but they really wanted to get everyone on the card for a lot of matches that just didn't end up mattering. So I don't really think this Mania will have that problem, but they could limit the amount of singles matches or rather multi-man matches they do and multi-women matches they do by just doing matches that make sense. Like, it really should be Roman and Rollins and then Punk facing someone else, or Roman and Jacob Fatu and then Punk and Rollins. But they want to do Roman, Rollins, and Punk in a triple threat, so I guess so be it, I suppose. Back to the chat here. Grun said, your booking of 20 as a 2-night show wasn't bad, by the way. Oh, because I did that last week. Okay, yeah. Because I answered your question last week. Well, back to the chat. Grunt also said, would have felt bad for the people who chose night 1 to see Lesnar and Goldberg, though. Personally, I would have just trimmed the time down and keep it 1 night. Yeah, ideally, yes. But if I was to make it 2 nights, I would have done it the way that I did last week. That was a very good question you asked last week about which Mania, in retrospect, would I have made 2 nights and how would I have done it? That was a very good question. Richard said, rage bait question. Can you see Logan Paul possibly winning a world title this year? Unfortunately, I can see him winning Money in the Bank this year, especially with all of the influencer involvement. I can see it, yes. Do I see it happening? No. Could I see it happening? Yes. This year or any year, it's a possibility. Johnny said Triple H versus Cactus Jack Street fight for the best non-Rumble match. Probably, yeah. From 2000, that's a great match. Grunt said, I'm biased towards the 04 Rumble match. Not the best Rumble overall by any means, but the Rumble match itself is my second all-time favorite match. I know that's your favorite time period, Grunt. It's like 04, ruthless aggression. So I understand that. Johnny said, do you have a favorite Survivor Series event? Ooh, good question. It might still be 2011. 2011 was from MSG. That was when they had the Cena and Rock team up in the main event. The match itself was whatever, but it was, the hype and the crowd was really into it. Zack Ryder was on the show, made an appearance, was really over. They did Ziggler and Morrison for the US title. The elimination match was good with Team Cena or Team Orton and Team Barrett. Big Show and Mark Henry had actually a decent match for the World Heavyweight Championship on that show. Beth and Eve. I don't know. I have fond memories of that show specifically. I really like Survivor Series 2011. Survivor Series 2010 was not good at all. 09, I don't really remember all that well. I remember it, but wasn't my favorite. Same thing with 08. What am I fucking saying? What am I saying? My favorite Survivor Series is Survivor Series 02. I have seen that show more than any other installment, probably combined. Maybe that's not necessarily true, but 02 is amazing. 02 is by far and away not even close to my favorite Survivor Series, and the best part about it, I wasn't even watching wrestling at that time. I fucking love that show. Amazing Survivor Series. Favorite Survivor Series that I've been a fan for, though, it's probably 2011. 2012 was okay. 2013 was terrible. 2015 was terrible. 2014, I love the main event. The overall show wasn't great. 2016 was decent. That was when they first started the Raw and SmackDown stuff. 2017, 2018, 2019, I thought was great. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, that was a great show. That might be up there. 2020, no. I was at Survivor Series 2021. 2022 was a great one, though. That was when they brought back War Games for the first time ever on the main roster. Maybe 2022 might be up there. I really liked that show when we went. 2023, what was Survivor Series 03? I don't even remember. What was Survivor Series 03? Oh, it was when Punk came back. That was a great show, too. I don't know if that's my favorite, but that's a great show, too. And 2024 was also good. So probably, definitely by far 02, but ones that I've been a fan for, probably 2011 or 2019, but probably 2011. You said Io would benefit the most from winning at Mania. She would benefit the most, but she's not going to win. Alexa said Bianca needs to win to uphold that Mania streak. Yeah, exactly. I agree. And she also said, honestly, I feel like TK might be on the spectrum. Honestly, you might not be wrong. And Grunt even said, as someone on the spectrum myself, I can definitely see that as a possibility. Yeah, Alexis also said, yeah, my brother's on the spectrum, and I could see a ton of similarities. He might be just undiagnosed. I wouldn't be shocked. Fernando said, did you ever use your writing skills to impress Alexis with poetry when you first started dating her? No, Alexis said, I wish in the chat. I will say this. No, I first of all can't do poetry. I've shared this story before, but I think the only time I've ever cheated on anything in school, like on a project or anything, I was scrambling to finish a high school English assignment, and it was a fucking poem, and I had nothing because I'm not good with that sort of shit. So I just ripped off an old Lanny Poffo poem from WWE, and I handed it in, not thinking. I mean, this was like over 10 years ago. This was like well before like technology and AI and shit. I just fucking ripped off a poem from Lanny Poffo. And I actually got in trouble for it, and I almost failed the class because that's their policy. If you get caught cheating, you can fail, and you have to like call your parents. The teacher knew I wasn't really one to do that sort of thing. And he was nice enough to be like, listen, I'm going to give you a 0 on the assignment, but I won't fail the class for you, and I won't like write you up or anything, which I appreciated. And I actually told Lanny Poffo that when I met him years later. And he kind of gave me a look like, oh, like, cool. And he's probably thinking, like, I'm not encouraging cheating, so that's interesting. But he was nice and whatever. So it was a funny story. But anyway, no, I never impressed her with poetry. When I write her cards and stuff, I do try to impress her with the writing of that. I don't know if she cares about that sort of shit. But yeah, I try to impress her with writing of that sort of thing. Poetry, no, I'm not good at poetry. Just because I'm a good writer doesn't make me a good poet. Let's put it that way. Grunt said, oh no, I agree. Doing 2 fatal 4-way tag title matches at 20 was lazy for sure. They could have easily just done Booker T and Rob Van Dam versus the Dudleys for the World Tag titles. I agree. Grunt says, I like 2000s WWE in general, but 2004 is peak for sure. He also said Survivor Series 03 was solid. Yeah, it's a good show. That's a good show. I've only seen it once, I think, but that was a good show. Was that the show where they used Ugly as the theme song by the Pixies or something? I forgot the name of the band, but I forgot all about that song until Alexis used it in a video package that she made when we were playing SVR 07. Great song. I think that's the theme for Survivor Series 03, if not 04. Richie said TK being on the spectrum and snorting some lines before those press conferences is a lethal combo. If he's snorting anything, I'm not convinced he is. But he definitely comes off as pretty fucking unhinged during some of those press conferences, I agree. Johnny said, Team Alliance versus Team WWE is my favorite Survivor Series elimination match. That's a great one. It's not my favorite, but it's a great match. I don't really have any attachment to it because I wasn't watching at the time. But then again, I love Survivor Series 02 and I wasn't watching back then, so I guess it's not a great example. Fernando said, when do you think Judgment Day will turn on Finn? At this point, probably after Mania. If it hasn't happened yet, it probably won't happen until after WrestleMania. You asked, how did the teacher know? Richie said the teacher was a mark. No, the teacher was not a wrestling fan. I could tell you that because I feel like he would have said something. He was a fucking like basic English teacher, middle-aged guy. He definitely was not a wrestling fan. How I think he knew, and first of all, don't cheat at all. But second of all, I should just probably mention that. I don't want to encourage cheating here. But I think he knew because even back then, and I didn't think they would do this with fucking a homework, like a poem assignment. If you submit something online, like this was not in the 2000s where you just hand in a paper, and we would still do that when I was in high school. This was early 2010s. This is 2013. But if you submitted through this online, like Power School or something like that, one of those programs, it would automatically filter it, I guess, through other shit on the internet to detect plagiarism. That's how they would find out if you plagiarized. If you copied from other people, like other students or shit online, it would detect that sort of thing. I don't even think I changed the words. I may have changed it very loosely, but I didn't think you would notice, or I didn't really think it would matter. It was a fucking like basic homework assignment, and you're probably asking if it's so basic and so small, then why cheat? I was lazy. I've been thinking I could just fucking find the poem online. So I think it got run through the system and it detected plagiarism because it's a literal poem, even though I found it on a fucking like dirt sheet or something. It's not like it's a real Shakespearean poem. It was, it was a fucking Lanny Poffo poem from an old WWE show decades ago when I still got caught. So cheating never prospers or whatever. Anyway, Johnny said Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles or Brock versus Daniel Bryan. Great question. I love both matches. Probably Brock and AJ. That one was more surreal to me. Both matches are great, though, from respective back-to-back Survivor Series. Survivor Series is. Alexa said, excuse me, you could give me an empty box and I would probably cry. So, yes, I love it when you write things for me. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm kidding. But, yes, I've written cards that she appreciated. But the poem, no. She gets a little too carried away. I'm not going to do fucking poetry. That's kind of goofy, and I'm not good at it. But I can write a story. I can write from the heart. I feel like that means more, just in my opinion. But anyway, you said Mania 20 had Skinny Rock with receded hairline and the goatee. Yeah, that was before he started his transformation of sorts. Let's put it that way. Grunt said no. Ugly as 04. 03 was Build a Bridge by Limp Bizkit and Team Austin, and had Team Austin versus Team Bischoff. Yeah, that's what it was. You mentioned Build a Bridge by Limp Bizkit, I think, one of these days. I think last week you're on WrestleRant Radio. I forgot you mentioned that recently. You even said Build a Bridge by Limp Bizkit was peak. Johnny said everyone in AEW took drug tests. Hopefully. Grunt said, when you're autistic and have a hyperfixation, you don't need coke to act wired. Trust me. That's funny. You said, oh, okay, my school used something similar called Turnitin. It might have been Turnitin. I don't remember. This was over 10 years ago. Power School is how you checked your grades. I don't know if they use that anymore. I had that when I was in high school. Turnitin, honestly, that sounds familiar. Either one of my siblings used that or I used that. I don't remember exactly, but probably something along those lines. Fernando said, was that cocaine MLW spot not that long ago the dumbest spot in wrestling? You're thinking of NWA. It wasn't MLW. It's certainly up there. It cost them a TV deal. They were supposed to be apparently on CW television, where NXT airs now. They ended up getting bumped, no pun intended, to the app. And even that they were kicked off of once NXT went to the CW. So we talk about like this NWA, WWE working relationship. Well, they kicked them off the CW, so I'm not sure how strong that relationship's going to be. Richie said, I wonder if there's something that extra twists like that today for AI. Or that exists. Twist. What the fuck am I saying? I got to get going. If I'm already losing my marbles here. Yeah, there probably is something like that can detect AI shit. I'm sure there is. For students, because I'm sure people try that all the time. I'm sure people, students today, use AI to write their stuff. I can almost guarantee you of that. Richie also said, I can imagine, yeah, exactly. I can imagine students these days abusing ChatGPT for homework. I don't use ChatGPT for anything anyway. I think it's stupid, but I think the whole AI shit is awful. I'm a fucking writer, so I don't want to lose my job over fucking AI, or to AI rather, so that's part of it, but I don't know. I read people's AI stuff, and it's just so obvious that the words were not theirs. That's why I don't really like it. Richie said, Wrestle Rap Live, perform Rollin' by Limp Bizkit, Graham. Not today. One of these days, if you want to do a concert, WWE does the rock concerts, Dwayne Johnson does the rock concerts. Maybe here on Hashtag or on WrestleRant or whatever. We could do Wrestle Rap. We did Wrestle WAP a couple weeks ago. Wrestle Rap, if you want to hear me sing Rollin' by Limp Bizkit, maybe one of these days we can do that. Not today, but maybe as we get closer to Mania, if you guys are interested in that sort of thing. And how fucking awful that would be. Johnny said, I cheat on my math stuff. Well, math is easy to cheat on, not during the tests. If you're taking a test in school, do not have your calculator out or your phone out. I don't condone that. If you're doing math shit at home and it's easy to look up the answer, then I get that. I used to look up the answers at the back of the book. Did you guys used to have that with your math books? Like, if you did all the even, like, that's why usually the teacher would be like, oh, do the odd questions. Do the odd numbered questions. Because the even numbered questions would have the answers in the back. They never mentioned that. But I would always look at the answers in the back. I would, see if I grasped the concept, because you can't cheat on a test. But I would always look for the answers in the back of the book. Especially when I got lazy. In middle school specifically. Johnny said, I hear AI writes WWE scripts. They might. I hear AI writes the Def Rebel music. Micah says, and even AI, honestly, I heard that AI theme for Penta, they made a better AI theme for Penta than Def Rebel did. So I guess that's not even true. Micah said, I just got WWE 2K24 on Xbox Series X. It was $15 at Best Buy. How do I unlock the final boss Rock and CM Punk? I don't know if Final Boss Rock is in 2K24. If you're talking 2K25, then I think he's already in the game, first of all. 2K24, CM Punk is DLC, so you have to pay extra for that. You got to get the season pass or pay for the Punk pack anyway, specifically. That's how you get Punk. Richie said, sure did, but the teacher would be like, show your work. Exactly. The show your work fucking killed me every time. Johnny said WWE should use Limp Bizkit My Way for the Cena Cody WrestleMania promo video. That would be cool. I don't think they would actually use it officially, but as like a throwback thing on Twitter or on Instagram to pop people like us, I feel like they could. That's possible. Fernando said, would you interview Vince? Fernando, I'll get back to your question in a second. Fucking Tyreek is here. Tyreek, you're fucking here. Tyreek, you're here. And Tyreek, you're going to answer this goddamn question. If you're watching right now, you're going to answer this goddamn question. What the fuck did you mean by love Ziggler? Okay? You disappeared and you came back. Answer the question, Tyreek. What did you mean the other day when you asked RJ and I what love Ziggler means? You cannot leave. I will not. I cannot go I can't end this stream until you answer that question. I'll probably have to end it anyway because I got to go. But you need to answer that question. What the fuck, Tyreek? You just come out of nowhere and you don't even answer the question. What is Love Ziggler? We were talking about this on WrestleRant Radio. Tyreek, you're killing me. Stop, everyone. Stop the fucking press. Stop the press. Tyreek, what were you asking about with Love Ziggler? You just pop in right before we leave. What the fuck? Fernando said, would you interview Vince? And what would be the first question? I would love to interview him as like if he was honest. But the thing is, first of all, he wouldn't be honest. Second of all, like, you would have to ask. Alexa said she's crying. Micah said GSM needs the answer to this question. I would love to ask Vince a lot about the allegations and stuff, but he's not going to answer that, so it's not even worth it. If he's not going to be honest, and it's almost not even worth it. I would have been more up for an interview with him years ago, but like for my channel, first of all, he wouldn't want to talk to me. Second of all, I have nothing of value that he would be able to answer because he wouldn't answer shit. Alexis said, I should put him in timeout. I can do that. No, don't put him in timeout, because if you put him in timeout, then he won't answer the question. Don't put Tyreek in timeout. Tyreek needs to answer the question. Tyreek chatted in and said, Jesus Christ, this guy comes out of nowhere and expects me to just act like nothing happened. Tyreek, you've been killing all of us here in the chat for the last fucking 5 days. What is Love Ziggler? Just admit that it was a typo or something. You can't just come in and ask a random question and then not answer the obvious. But he said, we always had to show our work since answers were in the back. Teacher would give a 0 on the homework if we didn't do that. Yeah, I know. I know the whole show your work bullshit. You're right. There were some times where they didn't ask to show your work and we would be able to get away with it. But yeah. But I can't even answer your question and take it seriously without answering this love question bullshit. Or Love Ziggler. What is Love Ziggler? Tyreek, if you're here, please, I beg of you. I will give you a super chat if you answer what Love Ziggler is. Grunt said, would WWE using AI? Would they use the AI? Would not surprise me one bit. No, I agree. They probably are with some stuff. If they get lazy with the scripts, especially when they were under Vince, I wouldn't be shocked. Johnny said, The Rock going to fight Shang Tsung in a future Marvel or Mortal Kombat movie. I don't know who that is. I'm not a Mortal Kombat fan, but that would be interesting. Mike said, it's $5 Tuesdays. What movie are you going to see today? None. We saw Paddington 2 weeks ago. We saw Queen of the Ring last week. I'm not going back to the movies unless it's something really worth it. Alexis saw Mickey 17 over the weekend and liked it. I was at a hockey game she saw with her brother. She said it was good. No movie. I don't want to go anywhere today. I've been busy last Tuesday we had bar trivia with her work people, and it was fun. But, the week before that was the Daredevil premiere. Daredevil's on tonight, so I'm watching Daredevil. So that's your answer. I'm not fucking going anywhere, and I'm watching Daredevil. I'm not going to the movies. I don't want to go anywhere. I'm a homebody. Grunt said, and they locked the Superior Punk theme, This Fire Burns, behind their loot box bullshit. Yeah, I saw that. Fuck that. I want This Fire Burns and 2K25 on the soundtrack and the jukebox. I checked the jukebox. You can't use it. Fuck. It's not even an option. It's not even like it's blacked out. It's just not there. Stupid. Micah said, I remembers his question finally. If you have your question, then ask. Be sure to ask Micah. Okay, so he did. RJ also said, remember when Alexis ruined the Cena turn for me? He is never going to let that go. Anyway, Micah said, speaking of Vince, he was at the Boston game last night. I know, he was at the Knicks game. I kind of want to see him start another wrestling promotion. If 5 wrestlers left for WWE for Vince, who would it be? Brock Lesnar, Jericho, but he's in AEW. Left WWE, hopefully not fucking John Cena. I feel like a lot of the Vince people have already just aren't there anymore. Let's see. Let's look at the WWE roster. Omos, maybe? I feel like you would push Omos. Looking at the Austin Theory. Austin Theory. He's not getting a push in WWE. So Austin Theory, I could see maybe leaving to join Vince's promotion. Let's see. Who would join a Vince McMahon run promotion? Lacey Evans, is she still doing shit? Mandy Rose, she doesn't want to wrestle. She's making more from OnlyFans. Riddick Moss, is he still looking for a job? Maybe he can join. Natalia, I don't know. I think she likes him more not under Vince, but that wouldn't surprise me all that much. On the SmackDown side, I mean, Brock is number one. There really isn't any other answer other than Brock, but Brock, he technically still works there. Anyway, Miz, probably Miz. Honestly, I could see Miz. Miz would be world champion over there. Vince loved him some Miz. So, those are some answers for you. Yeah, Tyreek does know what he's doing. He definitely does know what he's doing. RJ was trying to get Alexis's attention, and then Alexis asked him, are we still friends? Let's see. We'll get going here in a moment. Micah asked RJ, who's the bigger heel, John Cena or Alexis? Great question. And he said Alexis. He wasn't trying to get her attention. He was trying to answer Micah's question. Alexis is a moderator now, so you better be nice. She can fucking boot you or put you in timeout. Johnny said, I would tell Vince to his face, you're a piece of shit for continuing over the edge. Yeah, 99? Yeah. Among other things. It seems like it ran off Tyreek. No, Tyreek left on purpose. I didn't run off Tyreek. Tyreek is doing this shit to us on purpose. I swear to fucking God. What about the movie Novocaine? Don't care. I like Jack Quaid or whatever his name is from The Boys. Don't really care to see the movie. Heard it was good. I don't really care, though. Micah said, all right, GSM, take it easy. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to go anywhere? Yeah, I know. No, I don't. Micah said, my boy GSM said he wants to rest. Yeah, seriously. Give me fucking rest. I don't want to leave, dude. I want my ass in this chair later. I don't want to go anywhere. I beg of thee, like Richie said. Alexa said she wants to see Novocaine. Well, guess what? I'm not fucking leaving, Alexa. So if you want to go anywhere, then you can leave on your own. Go see it yourself. I love you, but I'm not going anywhere. Maybe another day. Today is, they call Sunday the Holy Rest Day. Today of the day of the Lord? No, Tuesday the day of the Lord. I don't want to fucking go anywhere. You have to catch me dragging, unless you pay for my ticket and fucking drag me out of this goddamn chair. I am not going anywhere, I promise you. Richie said the other side by Alter Bridge wasn't available on the jukebox, which pissed me off for 2K25. Really? I didn't see it on there. They took that theme out of the game? So it's in the game, but it's not on the jukebox? That's stupid. Bring back the OG Omos theme. And Tyreek answer us. I fear he's gone. Tyreek has left us. I scared him off. I probably scared him off, but whatever. He needs to know. He needs to know these answers. Alexis even said, I could see Mick Foley going to Vince's promotion just so he could tell us get that last match. God, I hope not. You know he would allow that. Also, Tyreek, what the fuck? Cron said, surprised I didn't get any pushback for saying this fire burns is superior to Cult of Personality. Are you actually on the right side of this debate, Graham? No, I'm not. Alexis is. Alexis likes this fire burns more. I'm a Cult of Personality guy. This fire burns is amazing. If you say that's better, I will not argue with you. I like Cult of Personality more. It's my go OG theme, my favorite wrestling theme of all time. That to me is the better theme. But if you say it's this fire burns, I can't. It's not like a garbage theme at all. It's a great song. Alexis loves that way more. Even though she said in the chat, this fire burns is an amazing theme song. Johnny said Tessa Blanchard and Hulk Hogan would join Vince McMahon's company. Hulk would be first in line. Fernando said, what are your thoughts on rumors that Tom Cruise might be playing Jor-El in Superman? Don't believe it, but it would be interesting. That would be interesting. I just don't see it. Mikey said, what's the backstory of this Dolph Ziggler being in love thing I just got here? I'm taking off here in a second, but I'll say this quickly. Tyreek said love Ziggler in the chat last week, and we don't know what it means. We literally don't know what it means. Does it have to do with Dolph? Does it have to do with Dolph? Does it have to do with something else? We don't know. Micah, you're as much in the dark as we are. We have no fucking clue. And Tyreek brought it up, and he won't answer us as to what the fuck that means. Tyreek, you're fucking killing me, dude. Would you interview Love Ziggler if given the chance? Yes, I would, so I can fucking ask him what the fuck it means. You said Dolph Ziggler being in love. Yeah, exactly. That's anyone watching this is probably thinking, what the fuck are they talking about? But I've explained it a couple times. Anyway, we're going to leave here in a second. Drink some Red Bull. I don't like Red Bull. I don't drink Red Bull. I've probably tried. I tried one of those C4 energy drinks a couple years ago because WWE was sponsoring it. I was given one for free. Didn't like it. Richie said to me and Alexis, let's go see Novocaine this week and then go to the Elm Street Diner. Listen. Well, literally, Richie, I would drop anything for you. To be fair, I would drop anything for you. But we are busy this weekend. We got a birthday thing to go to. Alexis is seeing a friend this weekend. So we are actually busy this weekend. Today, though, I'm not fucking leaving. In a couple of days, maybe. I'm busy this weekend anyway. Today, I'm not fucking going. Like, what's his name? The guy from Wolf on Wall Street. Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not fucking leaving. Fernando said Novocaine is really good. I am hearing. I heard it was good. Heard it was good. John Ritland, who jumps in here sometimes, he gives notoriously a lot of movies like 2 stars, but he gave that like 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever. He loves that movie. I guess that's what he gave it. That's what he rated it. So I don't know. I heard it was good. I don't really care to see it, but it's definitely not today. I'll tell you that much. Micah said thoughts on the Lilo and Stitch trailer. Thought it was good. Thought it was cute. Has potential. Can't really get into it too much right now, but fuck you, Richie. Richie said, okay, fine today then. What the fuck? No, the trailer was cute. Enjoyed it. Yeah, well, hopefully it ends up being good. Pleakley, he didn't look great, but Stitch looks cute. He looks adorable. The girl looks cute. Cute combo there with those two. I need to see how the rest of the movie goes. Obviously, it's not going to compare to the original. No shit. People are like, oh, how can you prefer the live action to the original? Well, no shit. No shit. But for what it is, it looks promising, so I am looking forward to it. I'll be first in line that weekend. If it's shit, I'll tell you it's shit. But, I'll whatever. I'm looking forward to the movie. Limo and Stitch. Yeah, he said Limo and Stitch. Vince McMahon an exploding limo. Stitch did it. I guess you're right, Richie. I guess Stitch did it. It's a good point. Grunt said, were you by chance talking about Ziggler at the time? Like we were talking about his matches and then Tyreek chimed in to also say he's a fan? No, Grunt, no. He didn't. This is what I'm saying. He sent in a super chat or he sent in a chat before the stream went live. We weren't talking about anything. This was WrestleRant Radio last Thursday. If you guys go back and check out the chat, it should be there. He sent in the chat before we went fucking live. It had nothing to do with Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler was not relevant at all to any conversation we even had that day beyond what he fucking said in the chat. I still have no idea what he was talking about. Like, I need to know, and he's not going to answer us. He's going to come in and talk about some random bullshit, talk about cheating on his goddamn fucking homework, but he's not going to tell us what he means by love Ziggler. What the fuck? Anyway, I need an aspirin. I kid. But we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live after the fact, whatever. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for chatting in. I love doing these. I love chatting with you guys. This was a lot of fun, as always. If you haven't already, please like the video. I would really appreciate it. Be sure to drop a comment, not just in the chat. We're about to end here, but in the comment section of the actual video after the fact. Subscribe, of course. Hit the bell button to be notified every single time we go live. Every single time a video gets dropped here on the channel. Yeah, I am crashing out. Yes, I am crashing out. This is me crashing out. I don't want to fucking leave, and I want to know what Love Ziggler means, and I'm not going to get it. I never get what I want, okay? That's actually not true. But hopefully I get number one, and I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to fucking leave tonight. I don't have to go anywhere. Like, I got a lot of shit to do as it is. I don't have to fucking leave and do all this other shit. Fernando said, another classic stream, thank you. Richie said, W stream, W chat, still no explanation of Love Ziggler. Seriously, it will forever haunt us, Richie. It'll forever haunt us. We can bond over it at the Elm Street Diner one of these days. Not today, but one of these days. But if you want to send in a question to the show, you can tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant on Twitter with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Drama comment on the post I usually put up on Monday nights, if not in the wall itself. And be sure to drop a comment on this very video with your question for next week's episode. I'll be sure to answer it in next week's edition. Last couple things here. I don't know if we'll be live with WrestleRant Radio on Thursday. If we aren't live, I'll be premiering it. We'll probably pre-record it and have it go live on Thursday. Premiere on Thursday, but I'll be in the chat. So if you guys want to watch with me, not watch the video, but like if you guys want to chat along with the premiere or whatever, and we can bullshit and we can talk in the chat. So I may not be live on Thursday with Mr. Mars, so we might record it ahead of time. It just might work better. But if we do, I'll premiere the video on Thursday. We'll see. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing yet. So that's about it. We might also do a playthrough, by the way, if you guys are interested in this. Next time we might be live, if not for WrestleRant Radio, then for 2K25 playthrough on Saturday afternoon Eastern Time. Don't know at the time yet. Stay tuned to the socials. Should be up at some point. But yeah, so we might be testing out 2K25 this weekend. Keep an eye out for that. Get a shirt as well. Be a Richie. Richie's great. Richie said, see you at the movies and dinner tonight, Graham. LOL. Thank you, Grunt, for saying fun stream as always. I appreciate that. But yeah, Richie got a shirt. Thank you, Richie, again for that. I very much appreciate it. Be a Richie, get a shirt. ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestleRant. Grunt's got one. He won the Royal Rumble game. You can get one as well right now. ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestleRant. Get a shirt. WrestleRant shirt. WrestleRant Christmas. WrestleRant Halloween. All that stuff would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, have an awesome one. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. And if I can find the outro button here, we should be good to go. But anyway, have an awesome one, folks. I'll catch your ass down the road.